It's where the Wareham Gatemen try and make it 3 in a row against the first-place Hyannis Harbor Hawks. I'm Eric Bramer, joined by Jake Garcia. And Jake, this is the final times these two teams will play each other, but the last time on Saturday could be one of those signature wins that we look back on should the Gatemen make a playoff run.
Yeah, the last time these two teams played was at Spillane Field. The Gatemen, their first walk-off win of the season. Ever since that win, they've seemed to be trending in the right direction. They've started to play a lot better baseball, both offensively, defensively, and on the mound as well. For them, it's a good thing that they get to play this Hyannis team once again. They've excelled against them. A good win last night against Bourne, and now against the top two teams in the West. The Gatemen have outscored both of them 42-15 on the season. It's kind of surprising that they don't find themselves a bit higher in the standings, but I guess that's what happens when they've lost so many games against the East. But a Western Division matchup tonight, exactly what the Gatemen want to see.
Last night's win 7-2 over Bourne Braves. And that was another starring performance by new addition Gavin Stupensky. He's batting .750 through his first 2 games with the Gatemen. 3 doubles. He's really provided a spark.
Yeah, and the spark has been both emotionally and statistically. You talked about the stats so far. Of his 6 hits, 3 of them have been doubles, and that's filling a big hole on this team that was really missing at the start. No extra base power for this Gatemen lineup. Stupensky's changed that. He's also changed the culture in the clubhouse. From an emotional standpoint, he's provided a big boost. Coming in, hasn't seen that much Cape League pitching, so he has a blank slate in his mind, and he's really been hot at the plate.
Tonight's starter for the Gatemen, Sean Anderson, who was very good up until his last start against Chatham, in which he allowed 6 earned runs. He'll try and get back to his winning ways and keep the ball down tonight against the Harbor Hawks.
Yeah, that was one of Cooper Ferris's biggest complaints from Anderson's last outing. He left the ball too high in the zone. When he brought it down a little bit, that's when he started to get punished because the Chatham hitters were able just to sit on his fastball. He's got to control all of his offerings tonight. And Anderson's a guy who the scouts really adore, but maybe it's time to pump the brakes a little bit. We haven't seen that much on him this season. You mentioned only 2 starts. His other 2 appearances this season, 1-inning relief outing. So we'll see what he has in store for tonight. The potential's certainly there if he can be in the zone.
This is the last Gatemen game before the All-Star game here at Spillane Field on Saturday. And even though that's kind of the apex of the season where most scouts take off after the game, that doesn't mean the Gatemen are going to stop playing hard afterwards. For more, we are about 7 minutes away from first pitch between this game, between the first place Hyannis Harbor Hawks and the third place Wareham Gatemen. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. We will give you now the starting lineups for both teams. First, the visiting Hyannis Harbor Hawks. Harbor Hawks managed by Chad Gassman. Leading off, playing center field, Corey Bird. Batting second, playing right field, Austin Hayes. Batting third, the designated hitter, Blake Taberry. Batting cleanup, the first baseman, Matt Theis. Batting fifth in left field, Jacob Knoll. Batting sixth, the third baseman, Colby Bortles. Batting seventh at second base, Ryan Burke. Batting eighth and catching, Jake Rogers. And batting ninth, playing shortstop, Tristan Hildebrandt.
Hildebrandt rounding out this lineup for the Harbor Hawks tonight. A new face. We haven't seen him yet this season. He's filling the void left by Justin Arrington, who's no longer with the team, and Errol Robinson, who's battling some minor injuries. He's out of the lineup tonight.
Now the lineup for the host Wareham Gatemen on a 2-game winning streak, trying to make it 3 in a row and continue their dominance in the Western Division. Gatemen head coach is Cooper Ferris. His lineup goes like this. Leading off, playing center field, Andrew Kalika. Batting second and playing second, Kramer Robertson. Batting third and designated hitter tonight, Nick Sierri. Batting cleanup and playing first base, David McKinnon. Batting fifth and catching, the hot new hitter, Gavin Stupensky. Batting sixth and playing shortstop, Mark Karaviotis. Batting seventh, the third baseman, John Sternagel. Batting eighth and playing left, Logan Sowers. Batting ninth, and in right field, Jay Jabs.
Originally, Stupensky was scheduled to start this game as DH, while Sierri was supposed to be behind the plate. But since then, Cooper Ferris has tweaked his lineup slightly. Sierri now the DH, Stupensky putting down the sign. Some very hot hitters in this Gatemen lineup right now, most notably Stupensky, Kalika, and Sternagel, who's riding a 5-game hitting streak.
Things are beginning to bunch together a little bit in the Western Division. Not that they weren't before, but the Gatemen now find themselves in third place. 2 teams ahead of them, 2 teams behind them. The 2 teams ahead of them include the first place Hyannis Harbor Hawks. They're up 2.5 games over the second place Bourne Braves. The Harbor Hawks' record is 18-16-1, just barely over 500, but still in first place in the weaker West Division. The Bourne Braves, after last night's loss to the Gatemen, are just a half game ahead of the Gatemen, and the Gatemen now 2.5 games ahead of the last place Cotuit Kettleers.
It's really become popular to say that the Eastern Division is more talented than the Western Division, and while looking at it on paper, that certainly may be the case, but who's to say that that may not all change during the playoffs? Playoffs are a whole different animal, and it's routine here in the Cape Cod Baseball League to see teams who dominate in the regular season have early exits in the playoffs. So it's more about getting into the playoffs and having success beforehand just to get there. And then once the playoff hits, it's a whole new ball game.
One of the most encouraging things to me about this Gatemen squad and their playoff prospects is their pitching. They have Evan Hill and Ian Hamilton, two of the top 3 guys in the league in ERA. They also have Blake Fox, who would qualify among the league leaders if he had enough innings pitched. Blake Fox will be starting the All-Star game for the Western Division on Saturday. And during their struggles the past couple of weeks, pitching for the most part has not been a problem. That's actually been a strength.
And Anderson coming into this game, his task right now is to eat some innings for this Gatemen team. A lot of their middle to long relief guys will be unavailable in this game, most notably Grant Dyer, who had the day off yesterday, but before that twirled 6 innings, 10 strikeouts. Hamilton threw 2 innings yesterday, so conceivably he could make an appearance tonight, though it's unlikely. Hill's out of commission. Fox is potentially going to start the All-Star game, so Cooper Ferris will not want to use him here tonight. It'll be pretty much the Sean Anderson show tonight, and after that, maybe, perhaps Ben Parr. Tyler Thorne hasn't been in a while, neither has Jared Price, but none of the lockdown relievers that we've come to enjoy recently will be in appearance tonight for the Gatemen.
Gatemen will have to hope that Anderson has his stuff tonight. He did not last time against Chatham, but had some time to think about it and work on his mechanics. Now we will step away from the microphone for a moment for the national anthem.
She and her band will be performing at the first annual Onset Music Festival at Onset Bandshell this Saturday, July 25th. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bethany Pierce.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Nice night for baseball here in Wareham. A first pitch temperature of 76 degrees. It became overcast about 20 minutes ago, but looking all around us, we don't see any dark clouds, so hopefully we stay dry and we can bring you an uninterrupted broadcast tonight. There are only 4 more home games after this, only 3 more home broadcasts by this broadcast team. One of our games is going to be taken up by Fox College Sports. The next event here at Spillane Field is going to be on Saturday at 6 o'clock, the Cape League All-Star Game. Both Jake and I will be part of the radio broadcast for that. Looking forward to it. Expecting between 5,000 and 7,000 people here at Spillane Field, and that's between 5 and 7 times the amount of fans we usually see here. So that will be quite a sight to behold, with the left field bleachers almost surely filled up. Just a moment away from the Gatemen taking the field when they take the field. They'll take their spots in this orientation. Left to right across the outfield, Logan Sowers, Andrew Kalika, Jay Jabs. At third base, John Sternagel. At short, Mark Karaviotis. His double play partner at second, Kramer Robertson. At first, David McKinnon. Catching in the late change, Gavin Stupinski. And pitching, Sean Anderson. It's going to take a while to see number 28 behind the plate and not immediately think Jarrett Rhineflesh. But after his injury, the number 28 has been taken by his replacement behind the plate in many respects, Stupinski, who has impressed in his 2 starts so far this year.
Yeah, that probably doesn't bode well for the prospects of Jarrett Rhineflesh returning at some point this season to the Gatemen. But Stupinski has filled his void very nicely and has really come around at the plate, raking the baseball right now. His battery mate tonight, Sean Anderson, a 6'4", 225 right-hander, calls the University of Florida his home this past season with the Gators. He made 14 appearances, only 1 start, ERA in the 4s. That was largely because Florida had a national title to contend for. They really didn't have time to wait around for an intriguing young arm on the mound tonight for the Wareham Gatemen.
And intriguing is the word. We've seen flashes of brilliance, namely in his first start, but his most recent start, we saw the downside of someone who doesn't have a whole lot of polish quite yet. Struggled mightily. He hit the first batter of the game. That kind of set the tone for the rest of the afternoon for him. He'll hope to get off to a better start against these Harbor Hawks. Again, the lineup for Hyannis: Bird, Hayes, Taberry, Theis, Knoll, Bortles, Burke, Rogers, and Hildebrand. Gatemen, as you can see, wearing their home whites. Harbor Hawks wearing their road uniforms, blue tops, but white pants.
Umpires tonight behind home plate is Larry Rosenberg. Rick Forrest is over at first, and Bill Fisher over at third.
Anderson from the windup delivers a strike on the outside corner, and that's a good way to start his afternoon.
Anderson this year 0-1 with a 5.79 ERA, making his 3rd start of the season, trying to build on the 9.1 innings of work he's thrown up to this point. 7 strikeouts, 4 walks, 5 hits.
Quickly 0-2 now to Bird. Bird coming into the game, batting .310, 18 hits and 58 at-bats. Anderson hits his spot, but missing outside, now 1-2. Bird adept at drawing walks, 11 to only 5 strikeouts. He makes contact here on the 1-2, rolls it to second. Robertson on to first. 1 batter, 1 out for Anderson. That'll bring up Austin Hayes, the right fielder. Hayes coming into the game, batting .287 out of Jacksonville, so perhaps a non-conference opponent of Anderson out of Florida. Never know. Sometimes you play local teams like that. Hayes has 5 doubles and 2 home runs. Also 10 runs batted in, which is 3rd best on the active roster. First pitch in on the hands, sent foul.
Kind of daring for Sean Anderson to come in early against Austin Hayes. Recall last time these two teams played, Evan Hill plunked him with a fastball high and tight that caused the benches to clear. So Anderson already coming back in there.
0-1 sent foul right side, quickly 0-2. When Anderson got ahead of Bird 0-2, he missed outside with a fastball, but hit his spot. We'll see what he gives Hayes here. Stupinski with the sign, Anderson with the 0-2. Got him swinging. Another pitch on the outer half. This one Hayes cannot make contact with it, and quickly 2 down.
We've seen the entire arsenal already from Sean Anderson. The fastball that he's used early in the counts, 91 to 93 miles per hour. A changeup that induced a ground out from Bird, that's around 81, 83, and a slider that's around the same velocity. It's more of a swing and miss pitch, and that's exactly what he used Hayes when he retired him on the swinging strikeout. A lot of late break and a lot of late movement on his slider.
Ball 1 misses low to Blake Taberry. Taberry with a pretty impressive batting average, .333, 30 hits and 90 at-bats. Another fastball misses low, now 2-0.
We talked yesterday how loaded Louisville is going to be in this upcoming college baseball season. Taberry, a big reason why. His .333 average is 2nd in the Cape.
Fastball on the outer half was not in his small 2-0 box, So he takes it for a strike, now 2-1. Anderson pitching from the sun into the shadows. Hit in on the hands, out to short. Karaviotis has it, throws across, in time to get to Barry by a couple steps. A 1-2-3 top half of the first inning for Sean Anderson. The Gatemen bats are coming up. Keep it locked in to the Cape Cod Baseball League Network and WCTV. No score between the Harbor Hawks and the Gatemen as we head to the bottom of the first inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. Thomas Burrows, the lefty, making his warm-up tosses. Perhaps a bit rushed because he did not know that he was going to be starting tonight until a couple hours ago. Nick Deeg initially was scheduled to start for the Harbor Hawks. Deeg had faced the Gatemen before, but for unexplained reasons, no longer starting, and it's going to be a bullpen game.
Yeah, kind of a big break for the Gatemen that Deeg isn't starting this game. He's been off and on a bit recently, but let's be honest, his stuff is wipeout stuff. He's has a 2.84 ERA this season, and a whip below 1, so whenever you can avoid a matchup against a guy like that, definitely a blessing for this team. Instead, they'll get to face the lefty Burrows, making his first start both in the Cape and all season long, a closer back at his school in Alabama.
First pitch to Andrew Kalika, misses low, ball 1. Burrows on the year, 1-0 with a 2.25 ERA, making his 10th appearance, first start of the year. Only 12 innings pitched in the Cape. His called strike on the outer half. Kalika coming into the game on another tear. It seems like he's been hitting well, save for a few games there just a few days ago. 1-1 sent foul, 1-2. Kalika on the year batting .395, 30 hits and 76 at-bats. All of them singles, save for 1 home run, and 14 runs batted in out of the leadoff spot. That leads the team. 1-2 misses inside, almost clips the jersey. Now 2-2.
Coming into this game, 3 multi-hit games in a row after an 0-for-11 mini slump. Seeing the ball well.
2-2 breaking pitch that Kalika lays off, and now the count runs full with Kramer Robertson on deck. Again, the lineup for the Gatemen: Kalika, Robertson, Sierri, McKinnon, Stupensky, Karaviotis, Sternagel, Sowers, and Jabs. 3-2, fisted on the ground left side. It's going to be a tough play for Hildebrandt. The throw goes high and it goes to the backstop. Kalika will be content with an infield single.
What's new for Andrew Kalika? Aboard to start this game off just like how yesterday's game got started. He's been on a tear recently, and as soon as that ball was hit, everyone in the stands knew it was going to be a tough play for Hildebrandt, having to range deep into the hole, but Kalika just has too much speed.
We will give you the defensive alignment for the Harbor Hawks now that we've told you that Hildebrandt is at short. In the outfield, left to right, Noel, Bird, and Hayes. At third, Colby Bortles. At second, Ryan Burke. At first, Matt Theis. And catching the lefty Burrows is Jake Rogers. Kramer Robertson stepping in with Kalika at first. He squares to bunt and bunts it back to the screen, strike 1.
This is a Harbor Hawks defense that has really struggled as of late. 10 errors in their past 4 games. They now have the second most errors in the Cape League, and 3 of those yesterday, extremely critical in their 3-1 loss against Brewster. Only 1 of the runs was earned. They ended up committing 3 errors, and that's why Brewster ended up winning 3-1.
Robertson squaring to bunt before the pitch is even delivered. Again popped up. This one might have a play, and indeed Jake Rogers, the catcher, does have a play, making a basket catch in foul territory, an unsuccessful sacrifice, and Kalika stays at first, 1 down.
A big reason why you want to put Robertson in the 2-hole is because he can get a bunt down. He's been rotating between that and the 9 spot. Comes up in the 2 spot today after being in the 9-hole yesterday, and his first task is to get a bunt down. Unsuccessful in that pursuit.
Now Nick Sierri, initially slated to catch today, but instead moved to designated hitter about 10 minutes before first pitch. With his mind entirely focused on hitting, we'll see how he responds. He takes ball 1 low. Kalika's at first. He reached with an infield single to begin the bottom half of the first inning. The 1-0-2 Sierri misses high, now 2-0. Sierri on the year, batting .367. He, like Kalika, would be among the league leaders, in fact leading the league, if he had enough plate appearances to qualify. 22 hits and 60 at-bats. Only one of them for extra bases. It was a double. Another ball misses. It's 3-0 with David McKinnon on deck. Sierra will be representing the Gatemen along with 6 of his teammates in Saturday's All-Star game. The 3-0 from Burrows splits the plate in half, 3-1. Tougher for Kalika to steal second with the lefty Burrows on the mound, but we'll see how aggressive he is on the base paths. The 3-1, tapped foul. Count runs full. Again, McKinnon on deck. We will see if they send Kalika. Kalika made an out on the base paths last night in the first inning. He tried to score on a single and then an error by the right fielder for the Bourne Braves. In talking to the Braves broadcasters, who had a better view from their perch in the press box than we did, they seemed to think that Kalika was safe. Before the 3-2, a throw over. Kalika's not fooled, and he's back safely. The smell of the Gatemen bonfire in the bullpen is wafting in. The 3-2 from Burrows. Fastball got him. Looked like it was just a little bit outside and up high. Sierra couldn't catch up to it, and he's retired for out number 2.
Sierra had a 3-0 advantage, and then Burrows comes right back, fires 3 straight strikes against Sierra. A good job on his part to rebound and get the strikeout.
With Kalika still at first and McKinnon at the plate, again, you wonder if Kalika might take off for second here. McKinnon, an all-star, batting .260, only 1 extra base hit of his 27. He drops down to bunt and pops it in the air. It'll be an easy play for Jake Rogers. In front of home plate, he squeezes it for out number 3. So Kalika reaches to begin the bottom half of the first inning, but he is stranded at first. We head to the top of the second. Still no score between Hyannis and Wareham on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. No score between the Harbor Hawks and the Gatemen as we head to the top of the second inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. 4, 5, and 6 due up for the Harbor Hawks against Sean Anderson, who had an easy breezy 1-2-3 inning to start his night. Anderson already looks to have better stuff than he did in his last outing when he struggled mightily and gave up 6 runs. As he finishes his warm-up tosses, another reminder that our next event at Spillane Field is going to be the Cape League All-Star Game presented by Friendlies. That's Saturday at 6 o'clock. But the festivities will begin far before that. Batting practice all day, gates open I believe at 2 o'clock, and the home run derby will take place at 5.
This place is going to be packed for that. And Spillane's a perfect venue to have the All-Star Game, probably because it has the most seating in the Cape League.
Matt Theis takes low ball 1. Theis on the year, batting .156, 5 hits and 32 at-bats. 1 double and 1 home run. The 1-0 broken bat, weakly left side. Sternagel has it. The throw across is high, but McKinnon leaves the bag and then lands back on it for out number 1.
3 of the 4 outs now for Sean Anderson have been ground outs. That really profiles to the type of pitcher that he is. His fastball has a little bit of run and sink late action to it, as does his slider. So when he's not striking people out, he generates a lot of weak contact in the infield.
Now Jacob Knoll, the left fielder tonight, first pitch swinging, ropes it foul down the third base line. We've seen him a little bit at second base, but tonight playing left field. Batting average pretty good at .313. 36 hits in 115 at-bats. 11 doubles, that leads the team, and 18 runs batted in. That also leads the team. The 0-1, a called strike, even though Stupinski couldn't catch it, quickly 0-2.
He's played well against the Gatemen, too, 5 for 14, but recently, in his most recent games, only 4 for his last 20. So while the season line may look good, he's struggling a bit right now.
Anderson's 0-2, tapped weakly to second. Robertson has it, throws on to first in time. 2 up, 2 down in the second, and 5 up, 5 down overall now for Anderson. That'll bring up Colby Bortles. Bortles with a big triple on Tuesday night, I beg your pardon, Sunday night, to tie a game late that eventually went to 12 innings for the Harbor Hawks. But on the whole, he has struggled this year as he takes called strike. Bortles out of University of Mississippi, 172 average, 15 hits and 87 at-bats, 4 doubles, 1 triple, and 1 home run. 0-1, a swing and a miss, quickly 0-2. It seems like most of the at-bats against Anderson have gone quickly to 0-2. An encouraging sign from a guy who has struggled with his command, especially recently. Here's Anderson's 0-2. Hits the mitt, a very close pitch that just misses the outside corner, now 1-2.
The entirety of the Gatemen infield started walking in towards the dugout thinking it was a called strike 3.
The only opinion that matters is Larry Rosenberg behind home plate, and he didn't seem to think so. Check swing, and that time Larry Rosenberg says that he went around. A strikeout for Sean Anderson, his second of the game. 2 3-up, 3-down innings to begin his night. We head to the bottom of the second. Still no score between the Gatemen and the Harbor Hawks on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network and WCTV. No score between the Gatemen and the Harbor Hawks as we head to the bottom of the second inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. Stupinski, Karaviotis, and Sternagel, 5, 6, and 7, due up for the Gatemen against Thomas Burrows, who's out to begin his second inning of work. We don't know how long he's going to go. This is his first start of the year, and he's only pitched 12 innings this entire season. This is going to be a staff game, so to speak, and no one warming up in the Harbor Hawks bullpen yet, but we imagine that will happen soon as ball one misses outside to Stupinski. Stupinski has made a pretty good first impression. Batting .750 in his first 8 at-bats, 6 hits and 3 doubles. Takes another pitch outside, it's 2-0. Those 3 doubles impressive, but they've also driven in runs as he swings and misses at an outside fastball, now 2-1. He has 3 runs batted in, which is already more than guys like Charlie Warren, Kramer Robertson, Connor Beck, other guys who have been here all year.
And his doubles, too, boost him up there among the team leaders in that category.
In on the hands, hit weakly to short. Hildebrandt has to hurry. The throw is low, but dug out by Theis. And Stupinski is retired for out number 1. Not something that we've had to say very often. Even when Stupinski has been retired, they've been hard-hit outs, it seems. That'll bring up Mark Karaviotis. Karaviotis playing shortstop tonight. The spot usually occupied by Preston Grand Prix, but Karaviotis, a native shortstop out of Oregon, getting a chance to play the position he knows best. Called strike on the inside corner, 0-1.
Karaviotis finished up his evening last night with 2 doubles in his final 2 at-bats. So that boosts his season average up to 282.
0-1 misses outside to even up the count. Yeah, it seems like Karaviotis has been swinging a much better stick as of late. Batting average has climbed up into the 280s. This 1-1 is fouled back to the screen. But he's just been putting together better at-bats. Not something that will necessarily show up in the stat sheet, but something that you see if you watch him play every day. Also providing stellar defense at second base. 1-2, a half swing, and home plate umpire Larry Rosenberg said he went around. So out number 2 comes on a strikeout to Mark Karaviotis. That'll bring up John Sternagel.
And I'm not sure about that one. Karaviotis kind of just twitched his upper body. I didn't think his bat was anywhere close to going around towards the front of home plate, which is what it would require if the bat gets out in front of the hands. But I guess Rosenberg thought otherwise. I thought he was going to motion down to first base, and then I think he just decided himself to call it strike 3.
I think that's what both sides would usually like to see. Have a second set of eyes on it, but what's done is done. Karaviotis out number 2, and now John Sternagel, who, like Karaviotis, has been swinging a pretty hot bat as of late. Called strike on the other half, 0-1.
Yeah, he's boosted his season average up to above 200, now at 226. thanks in large part to a 5-game hitting streak that all got started against these Hyannis Harbor Hawks when he hit that triple in extra innings. Came around to score the game-winning run and then collected 2 RBIs as well yesterday.
1-1 from Burrows, misses inside, now 2-1. Burrows still has not allowed a ball to leave the outfield yet. Kalika's single in the first, an infield single. A bunch of pop-outs and ground-outs since. Now 3-1 with Logan Sowers on deck. Wind-up and the delivery, missing up and away. The Gatemen get their second base runner of the game. Sternangle's aboard at first with 2 down for Logan Sowers. Sowers is not going to be an all-star on Saturday, but he is going to be part of the festivities. Be participating in the pregame home run hitting contest, and anyone who's seen him in batting practice knows that he stands a pretty good chance in that. During the Fenway workout day, we saw him not only hit it over the monster, but off a light post beyond the wall. First pitch misses inside, ball 1, and at this point, imagine that Sowers will probably take a strike before he swings at one. Sternagel at first, 1 stolen base and 2 opportunities. The 1-0, he does swing at a strike, and he comes up empty. 1-1 now to Sowers.
This is about the time of the night when the home plate umpire normally asks for the lights to be turned on. The sun is setting behind some clouds right now. It's been a pretty dark evening at Spillane, as you can see right there. Still, though, no sign of the lights kicking into gear.
1-1, a called strike on the outside corner, now 1-2. The main culprit for Sowers' struggles have been strikeouts. Struck out, seems like, at least once a game all year. Batting average at 176, not where he wants it to be, but coming around recently. The 1-2, there's a strikeout. And the Gatemen get a base runner, but do not score. We are through 2. Still no score between the Hyannis Harbor Hawks and the Wareham Gatemen. Keep it locked in to the Cape Cod Baseball League Network and WCTV. No score between the Gatemen and the Harbor Hawks as we head to the top of the 3rd inning. Eric Bramer, joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. Sean Anderson will face 7, 8, and 9 in the order for the Harbor Hawks. Burke, Rogers, and Hildebrandt. Anderson is yet to allow a base runner. 6 up, 6 down, and 2 strikeouts. In a game where the taxed bullpen is going to have to eventually pick up some of the slack, it's encouraging to see Anderson pitch well and pitch economically early on in this game.
Yeah, economically is the best word to describe him right now. 4 induced groundouts to go along with 2 strikeouts. He's been getting ahead of batters early and often and hasn't lost any to some walks, something that plagued him last time against Chatham when he walked 4 in only 2.1 innings.
Ryan Burke stepping into the left-handed batter's box. Burke on the year batting 157, 3 doubles and a home run. Takes ball 1 high. Out of Texas A&M. He's struck out 16 times in 70 at-bats. .1-0, tapped on the ground, up the first base line, and bouncing foul. Anderson, like his counterpart Burrows, is yet to allow a ball into the outfield. Try and keep it that way as long as he can. .1-1, right down the middle, now 1-2.
So he used his slider to get ahead there in a 1-1 count. Threw it for a strike. He could either go back to it, throw it out of the strike zone and in the dirt, or see how far Burke will push his limits and with an elevator fastball here in a 1-2 count.
Anderson's 1-2, in on the hands and dumped over the head of the first baseman McKinnon. It's the first hit of the game for the Harbor Hawks, and Burke's aboard at first with nobody out.
That slider from Anderson probably caught too much of the plate, or more than he would ask for in a 1-2 count. It was in on the fists of Burke, and a good piece of hitting as well to bring his barrel through the strike zone on the inside portion and find some open grass in the outfield.
Jake Rogers stepping in. Rogers, the catcher tonight, out of Tulane University, batting .255. 2 doubles and 2 home runs, 6 runs batted in. He will, at the very least, try and advance the runner here, Burke, to second. Swinging away at the first pitch and hitting it over the head of the second baseman and into center field. Burke checks in at second, and 2 singles to start the top half of the third for the Harbor Hawks.
Rogers is more well known for his talents behind the plate. He's had an exceptional season, both with Tulane and the Harbor Hawks. But as of recently, he's really started to come around at the plate, has boosted his average into the 250s region, and now it'll bump up a few notches after that hit.
Now the 9-hitter, Tristan Hildebrandt. Hildebrandt in limited action, batting .273, 3 hits and 11 at-bats. Might be asked to drop down a bunt here. Sternagel already in on the cut of the grass, expecting it. And McKinnon off of first as well. Anderson to a set, checking the runner. McKinnon creeping in, he's about 45 feet away. And instead, taking a ball inside. And no indication of a bunt there from Hildebrandt. An interesting tactic by the first baseman, David McKinnon. He charged in, then when he did not see any indication of a bunt, he then quickly backtracked. Now squaring to bunt is Hildebrandt, and he offers at it, but it hits his hand. And they're going to say that he was hit by the pitch and he's going down to first base. Cooper Ferris out to plead his case and see what I saw, that he offered at that pitch. And this should be a foul ball, but not sure if Ferris is going to be persuasive enough. What did you see?
I know for a fact it did not hit his bat, so a foul ball in that regard is not the call here. But what's being discussed right now is whether or not Hildebrandt stuck his bat out too long. And if he does, even if it hits him, it's still called for a strike. And it was close. It was borderline. As soon as the pitch was approaching, he started to make a move back. It remains to be seen, and it looks like it will not be ruled in favor of the Gatemen. But apparently he got his back bat just in time before the ball came in and hit him.
So the Harbor Hawks trying to give the Gatemen an out, but Anderson unable to take it. He hits Hildebrandt. Now the base is loaded, nobody out for the leadoff hitter, Corey Bird.
Middle infield playing back, anticipating a double play, corners in.
First pitch to Bird, a called strike low in the zone, and it's 0-1.
The Gatemen allowed 2 runs early yesterday against Bourne, and their offense was explosive enough to come back in that game. So Cooper Ferris obviously not thinking that the runner on third base is the end-all be-all run.
0-1, another called strike at the knees. It's quickly 0-2. This is exactly how Anderson needs to approach these at-bats. Aggressive, and he will hope for a strikeout here. Anderson to the set, and the 0-2 to Bird, just missing outside.
That's a good 0-2, though. He lost Burke, who's now on third base, in a 1-2 count on a slider that got too much of the plate. A smart move in that 0-2 to push the corners a little bit more and not give Hildebrandt, or rather the leadoff hitter Bird, anything to hit.
Anderson's 1-2 to Bird. Hit in the air to right field and down for a hit. Burke will score. Rogers right behind him. Here's Jabs' throw, and at the last second, Rogers is held up at third. A wise decision by Chad Gassman, because the whole league now knows that Jay Jabs has a pretty good arm.
Yeah, and he delivered another strong, accurate throw into home plate there. But before that, Anderson came in a 1-2 count. Probably not that poor of a pitch. It was a slider that Bird just golfed out around the shoe tops, deposited it into right field, and just like that, quickly, after Anderson was perfect through 2, he's now given up 1 here in the third.
3 hits and a hit batsman have given the Harbor Hawks their first run of the game and their first lead of the game. Bases loaded, still nobody out for Austin Hayes now. Hayes' first time up, struck out swinging. Anderson, after a brief pause, steps back on the rubber to face the right fielder for the Harbor Hawks. Corners even. middle at double play depth. First pitch swinging, launch to left field. Sowers is back, still tracking it. Towards the line, he makes the catch. The throw to the plate is going to be cut off. An RBI sacrifice fly for Austin Hayes. Could have been a lot worse for the Gatemen, though. That one just got in on the hands, it looks like.
Yeah, Anderson left a curveball hanging to Hayes, and he just missed it. Got a little bit too far underneath it, so Sowers was able to camp underneath and make the catch for out number 2, but a productive at-bat there for Hayes. He continues to have success against the Gatemen.
2-0 Hyannis now over Wareham. First and second. Taberry at the plate. Taberry grounded out to short his first time up. Gateman would take that again because it might be an inning-ending double play. The runner at second, Hildebrandt. The runner at first, Bird. First pitch from Anderson. Tapped weakly up the first base line, and it trickles foul. The Gatemen hope that this 2-0 deficit is erased just as it was last night in the game against Bourne. 7 unanswered runs gave the Gatemen a comfortable victory. Taberry awaits the 0-1 from Anderson. Missing low, now 1-1. Three singles, a hit by pitch, and a sacrifice fly have gotten the Harbor Hawks 2 runs so far. Taberry trying to make it even more. The 1-1 from Anderson. Hit on the ground and through the hole into right field. Hildebrandt rounding third on his way home. The throw from Jabs is not in time. A good throw from Jabs in shallow right field, but just a little bit late to get Hildebrandt coming in from second. Now 3-0, the Harbor Hawks lead.
Just a seed from Jay Jabs into the plate on no hops, right to the glove of Stepensky. Perfectly placed, but unfortunately just a half second too slow. Unable to get Hildebrandt, who has some speed over on second base. He's able to score.
Bird advances to third on the throw, an RBI single for Blake Taberry. That'll bring up Matt Theis, the 7th man to bat this inning. Theis' first time up, grounded out to third. Anderson checks Taberry at first and delivers the first pitch to Theis, fouled off left side. Three runs so far for the Harbor Hawks here in the top half of the third inning. Anderson's 0-1. Theis hits it right up the middle and off the glove. Nice stop by Robertson. The flip onto second in time to get one out. A run will score, but a lot of different things could have happened on that play, and the Gatemen will settle for an out.
The Gatemen are certainly happy that Anderson stuck out his glove and knocked the ball down. So many times you see pitchers prevent double plays in that regard, but I'm pretty sure that would have gone into center field for a hit. And a good job by Robertson over at second base to stay with that ball. Gave him a funky hop, not a hunky fop. But after it hit the ground, kind of had some spin on it, forced him to go to his knees, make a good play, and on to second for the out.
Scored a fielder's choice 1-4-6 as the first pitch to Jacob Knoll is rolled on the ground to short. Karaviotis over to Robertson, and that will do it for the Harbor Hawks. But they score 4 runs in the top half of the third inning, and now lead 4-0 over the Gatemen as we head to the bottom half. Keep it locked in to WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Harbor Hawks with a 4-0 lead over the Gatemen as we head to the bottom of the third inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and now Megan O'Brien for more information on Gavin Stepensky, the new catcher for the Gatemen.
Thanks, Eric. Yesterday, Gavin Stupensky, we saw saw him start his second game for the Gatemen behind the backstop, and before the game we spoke with him and said, what's it feel like to be here in the Cape League? And he said, you know, I wanted to be here from the get-go, from the beginning, because I know that I can play with these top guys, and I know I can play at the level that they can. He showed that yesterday, going 4 for 5 with a pair of doubles, and if the Gatemen want to win tonight, they'll need that spark in their offense. Again, back to you guys.
Thank you, Megan. 9-1 and 2 due up for the Gatemen, Jabs, Kalika, and Robertson. First pitch to Jabs is tapped weakly on the ground right side. Tough play for Burke. The flip with the glove onto first is in time to get the speedy Jabs. That was pretty much the only play that Burke could have made, and he did make it with aplomb, out number 1.
Yeah, the way you approach that is when he's charging in, getting his glove ready for the glove flip. He probably caught that in the palm of his glove. That enabled him to deliver a line drive throw over to first instead of one that was a little bit loopy.
Now Andrew Kalika, who has the only hit of the game for the Gatemen. It was an infield single to start the bottom half of the first inning. The batting average now above 400. It came into the game at 395. The 1-0 from Burrows is a called strike. Interesting that Burrows is still out there. I guess not all that surprising, considering he now has a 4-0 lead and he's only given up 1 hit and no runs. 1-1 right down the middle. It's now 1-2. But he is not a starter here in the Cape. He was not a starter back at school. And I do not see anyone warming up right now for the Harbor Hawks. Off the end of the bat and dumped down the third base line. It'll drop for a hit. We'll see if Kalika tries to test his luck. He will hold up with a single. Another multi-hit game for Andrew Kalika, who just continues to rip the cover off the ball.
Yeah, and that one, more of a bloop shoot than ripping the cover off the ball, but still, he continues to find open grass in the outfield. I thought he may have gotten a little bit greedy, or tried to get a little bit greedy and try for second base. He'll be content with a 1-out single instead.
Gatemen with a 4-run deficit. Don't want to make any unnecessary outs. One down and Kalika at first. Here's Kramer Robertson. Tried to bunt Kalika over back in the first inning, but bunted it foul and in the air. Jake Rogers caught it for the first out of the first. Here he takes a called strike 1.
Talking to Cooper Ferris before the game in regards to Kalika, there's a potential new way that they're going to approach the league leaders in the batting average department. No longer require the 2.1 plate appearances per game.
I think right now it's 2.9 if I'm correct.
2.7, I believe.
2.7, okay.
Ferris said 2.1, which then threw me off. But regardless, they're thinking about doing away with it. So that would enable guys like Kalika and possibly Sierra to be among the league leaders. And the rationale is sound. It enables these guys to come in once their respective seasons end and not worry about missing time in the Cape League. It's not going to benefit guys who take their time between seasons, but guys like Kalika who get done a little bit later because their team makes an NCAA tournament run will allow them to come in and still be considered for the batting title.
Form of boundary work. Here's the 1-2, flip foul down the first base line. Because it's in the best interest of the Gatemen organization to say, well, we want guys like Kalika and Sierra in, but we don't want other guys in who have had just slightly fewer at-bats and might be competing for that as well. But no doubt, Sierra and Kalika, who have been with the team for most of the season, are deserving. 1-2 roped to the glove of the second baseman Burke. The throw back to first is in time. A line-out double play. Score at 4-3. Kalika doubled off of first. So Thomas Burrows faces just 3 men in the third inning. And we head to the fourth with a 4-0 Hyannis lead. Keep it locked in to WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Four 0 Harbor Hawks over the Gatemen as we head to the top of the fourth inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. Sean Anderson's still out there. He faced just 6 men in the first 2 innings, then faced 8 alone in the third inning, in which he gave up 4 runs. He'll try and put that behind him as he faces 6, 7, and 8 in the Harbor Hawks order: Bortles, Burke, and Rogers.
Now his mission on the mound changes a little bit. He's given up 4 runs in the third. Now he has to put that behind him and realize that he's going to have to take one for the team now. Eat some of these middle innings up so you don't tax your bullpen even more than it's been taxed these past few days.
It's been taxed, and it's also lost the names Houston and Williamson. First pitch bends over for a called strike to Bortles, 0-1. Houston left after an injury. Williamson left after he reached his innings limit for the year. Anderson's 0-1, a check swing, but it's taken outside for a ball, 1-1.
Hyannis has squandered leads before. They allowed 5 in the 8th against Bourne and barely won that game by a run, and then again last night allowed 3 after being up by a run.
The 1-1 hit on 3 hops to Robertson. He throws on to first, an easy out for out number 1 here in the top half of the 4th inning. That'll bring up Ryan Burke, who started the trouble for the Harbor Hawks against Anderson in the 3rd inning. He led off with a single, then Rogers followed with a single. Hildebrandt was hit by a pitch. Corey Bird with an RBI single, an RBI sac fly by Austin Hayes. Another RBI single by Blake Taberry, and an RBI fielder's choice by Matt Thice. A lot happened in a very short amount of time. First pitch to Burke, sent foul, and over our heads, out of play. The lights now are on. I didn't see any motion or indication that they were not on when they should be, but I guess the less fanfare, the better. Anderson's 0-1. In on the hands and fouled back, 0-2. That's part of what made Anderson so successful in the first 2 innings. He got ahead of guys 0-2. Then he was in the driver's seat, but in the 3rd inning, he either fell behind or the Harbor Hawks jumped on first pitches. Anderson's 0-2. Just missing the outside corner, taken for a ball, it's 1-2. Anderson shakes off Stupensky, finally accepts a pitch and delivers the 1-2. Missing high, now 2-2.
You mentioned 2 of the outcomes that happened in the 3rd, either hitters jumping early in the count against Anderson or him falling behind. The other thing that happened was 1-2 pitches being punished because he covered too much of the plate. A good job by him there to go out of the strike zone.
2-2 ripped into right center field. It's going to drop in front of Andrew Kalika, the center fielder. He gets it back in quickly. A 1-out single for Ryan Burke, his 2nd hit of the day. That'll bring up Jake Rogers.
The catcher number 4, Jake Rogers from Tulane.
Rogers, like Burke, a single and a run scored back in the 3rd inning. Anderson was just fine until he had to pitch from the stretch. Whether correlation implies causation or not, we probably won't know. He hopes that this time in the 4th, he can get out of the inning much more quickly than he did in the 3rd. Anderson's first to Rogers. Hit in the air, left field. Routine for Sowers, putting his hands up, indicate that he has it. And he squeezes it, now 2 down. This is more of a broadcaster's problem, but have you had trouble judging fly balls here at Spillane Field? I think part of it is the fact that we haven't seen a home run in quite a while. And when they happen, they just kind of jump up on you. But
early on in the season, we could make the excuse that it was because of the wood bats. But now I'm not really sure what it was. I remember Rhineflesh, which granted was early in the season, but towards a time where we should be better suited to start judging fly balls. He hit one that I didn't think was gone and all of a sudden got out of here in a hurry. Sternagel the other day cranked one out to center field. I thought it was close to the warning track, and it wasn't close to the warning track. It beat the center fielder, but still not that close. So, yes, I've had the same problem.
think part of it is the lack of a crowd reaction. When you see a Major League Baseball game, you've got 20, 30,000 people in the stands who are oohing and aahing, gasping, and reacting to a ball that might leave the yard, and you don't have that here, at least not to the same degree. Anderson's 1-0, runner goes, and hit in the air, shallow center field. Robertson back, Karaviotis back. He's called off by the center fielder Kalika, who squeezes it, and that's out number 3. Harbor Hawks get a hit, but they cannot add to their lead. We head to the bottom half of the 4th inning. Still 4-0, the Harbor Hawks over the Gatemen on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. The Wareham Gatemen trail the Hyannis Harbor Hawks by a score of 4-0 as we enter the bottom half of the 4th inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. Thomas Burrows is still out on the mound to at least begin this 4th inning. He'd only thrown about 12 innings coming into today's game. He had not started either here in the Cape or back at school, pitching as a last-minute replacement for Nick Deeg, who was not available today for undisclosed reasons, but he's pitched and pitched well. Only 2 hits allowed, both of them to Andrew Kalika, and no runs so far.
It's funny because not only is Burrows a closer at Alabama and has been a relief pitcher for this Harbor Hawks team, he hasn't even been stretched out yet. And we've seen it with Ian Hamilton. He's gotten long relief innings and a few starts under his belt before going deep into ball games like Burrow is right now. Coming into this game, 9 appearances, 12 innings pitched. That tells me that he's gone 1 or 2 innings really all season long. Hasn't gone deep into any games here against the Gatemen. He doesn't look any worse off for the wear.
First pitch to Nick Sierra is called a strike. The second pitch is roped into right center field. It'll drop for a hit. Bird over with it, and he gets it back into the infield, but a single for Nick Sierra to lead off the 4th inning, and a single to the pull side, which is always encouraging.
And against a left-handed pitcher. Normally, left-handed hitters have trouble because their front shoulder is more prone to fly open against left-handed pitchers. But there, Sierra stays through the ball and on an inside pitch, then explodes his hips, and that's why it went towards the leftish side, or the rightish side, rather.
That'll bring up David McKinnon. He tried to bunt with 2 down in the 1st inning, but he bunted in the air, and it was caught by Jake Rogers. He takes a called strike 0-1. You can see a right-handed pitcher warming up in the Harbor Hawks bullpen, so should Burrows run into any more trouble here in the 4th inning, might be the end of the day. (0-2) to McKinnon, missing outside, and I believe the count is 1-1 now. Yes, it is. I would say that Sierra is not a threat to steal, but last night he did steal a base, his 2nd of the year. It was a delayed steal, and that makes 2 in 2 attempts that were kind of fluky steals, but steals nonetheless. Called strike, low in the zone. It's now 1-2 to McKinnon. We haven't directly breached the subject with Sierra, but we've had some fun with that on the air. The 1-2, flip foul, and sent back to the screen. He's a generally good-natured guy, and I imagine he would have a sense of levity about his 2 stolen bases, because I don't think that's really part of his arsenal, so to speak. Burrows with the 1-2 to McKinnon, again fouled off. McKinnon hanging tough here, trying to, at the very least, get the runner over to second base.
I think guys like Sierra, though, every once in a while they'll run into a stolen base. And just because you're not fast doesn't mean you can't be a great base runner. Sierra showcased actually some very good instincts on the base paths yesterday. His delay steal attempt pretty much caught everyone off guard, and that's why he was able to get into second.
The 1-2 to McKinnon, rolled on the ground and flagged down by Hildebrandt, but he'll just eat it. An infield single by David McKinnon. Now 1st and 2nd, nobody out for Stupensky. Talk about guys who aren't very fast but are great base runners. Late period Barry Bonds comes to mind. He had had so many knee surgeries that he didn't have a whole lot of foot speed, but he still had the instincts that made him such a great base stealer when he was younger.
Yeah, I can tell you firsthand that that's exactly the case. Bonds was a great one. Closer to home, and a guy I saw last year for any Arizona State baseball fans. They have a catcher, but a DH more like, kind of like Sierra actually, this guy named R.J. Ibarra. He scores from second on pretty much any hit ball to the outfield, and it's because he gets great jumps, not because he has this blazing speed, but he's able to make up for that by some good instincts and his ability to read the ball.
Stupinski 0 for 1 on the day. He grounded out to short his first time up. Now 6 for 9 in his season with the Gatemen. He takes outside ball 1. Another RBI opportunity here with a runner in scoring position and nobody out. If he can manage an extra base hit, this is not out of the question. He has 3 and 6 hits so far this year. McKinnon has enough speed to potentially score from first. The 1-0 misses outside, 2-0.
Second straight at-bat for Stupinski that he's worked the count to a 2-0 count. Last time he then took a strike and bounced out to the shortstop. He has good plate discipline and, from what I've seen, a very good sense of the strike zone.
With the right-handed hitting Karaviotis on deck, the lefty Stupinski might be the last guy that the lefty Burrows faces. The 2-0 is fouled off left side. Sierra looking in from second base. Doesn't look like he's going to offer any help with the sign, but Burrows with the 2-1-2 Stupinski. Tapped on the ground, weakly right side. Charging is the second baseman Burke. He flips underhand onto first for the out. But a productive out. Both runners advancing a base. Now second and third with one down for Mark Karaviotis.
Yeah, professional at bat right there from Gavin Stupinski. That's probably not what he was trying to do, but it works out nonetheless. 2 guys now in scoring position, less than 2 outs.
Karaviotis struck out swinging his first time up. But a base hit to the outfield could score 2. Infield playing back, they will concede the run. Burrows staying in, at least for one more batter. First pitch to Karaviotis, tapped weakly on the ground to third. He's going to go home, and Sierra is out at the plate. The throw well in time, and even though the infield was playing back, that one was hit weakly enough to Bortles that he was charging in, and it made sense for him to throw to the plate. Now 2 down, runners at first and second.
Really not a difficult play there for Bortles at all. He charged in on a weakly hit ball. That's exactly what he's supposed to do. I'm not sure if Sierra was running on contact. Gary Gateman's upset, and the Gateman's still not on the board.
That'll leave things to John Sternagel. He walked back in the second inning. The Gatemen are right back to where they started before the Stupinski at bat. First and second, now 2 down. McKinnon at second and Karaviotis at first. Burrows trying to get out of the 4th inning. He checks the runner, McKinnon at second, and delivers the first pitch to the plate. It's fouled back by Sternagel. Burrows has found himself in his first high-pressure situation of the evening, trying to strand 2 runners with 2 down. Here's the 0-1 to Sternagel. Hit in the air, foul right side, and out of play. Burrows pauses to reflect and now toes the rubber. Ahead in the count, 0-2 to Sternagel. Sternagel just gets a piece of a high fastball and fouls it straight back, still 0-2.
Every single one of these offerings from Burrows has been pretty fat for Sternagel. He's been right on each one, specifically that last one. Unable to square it up, though, and still down the count 0-2.
Infield playing to pull the second baseman Ryan Burke is being tasked with keeping McKinnon close at second. Sternagel looking for another clutch hit against the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. And Burrows steps off. Burrows to a set. The 0-2 to Sternagel, hit in the air, right center field. Enough hang time for Austin Hayes, the right fielder, to camp underneath it, and he squeezes it out number 3. That'll do it for the Gatemen in the 4th inning. They get 2 hits, but leave 2. We head to the top of the 5th inning. Still 4-0 Harbor Hawks on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Harbor Hawks lead the Gatemen 4-0 as we head to the top of the 5th inning. Eric Raymer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. It'll be the top of the order for the Harbor Hawks, due up against Sean Anderson, still out there despite giving up 4 runs in the 3rd inning. He rebounded with a pretty nice 4th inning, only 1 hit allowed, and did not allow any runs. Bird, Hayes, and Taberry due up. Those 3 combined to drive in 3 of the 4 Harbor Hawks runs in that 4-run 3rd inning. Anderson waiting for the ball to come in from center field. We do not see anyone warming up in earnest in the Gatemen bullpen. That's expected because, as we mentioned a couple times earlier on in the broadcast, Gatemen really lacking for spare arms at this point. A couple names that we might see later on in the game would be perhaps Ryan Olson, Jared Price, Tyler Thorne. But Stephen Woods Jr. started last night. Ben Parr has pitched in 2 straight games. Matt Crook, coming off of Tommy John surgery, is not going to be available in anything other than a start. Drag bunt up the first baseline. McKinnon has to tag the runner Bird, and he does so before Bird gets to the bag. Out number 1 comes on a very close play at first base, but a nice play by David McKinnon.
Very nice bunt there from Corey Bird, trying to slug one up the first base line for a drag bunt single. McKinnon had a beat on it, though, quickly, and fortunately for him, his pitcher, Sean Anderson, unable to get over quickly enough. A heads-up play, though, from McKinnon to, instead of taking the not straight line distance, which would have been the case if he would have gone to the bag, takes a direct straight line and tags out the runner.
Austin Hayes stepping in, 0 for 1 on the day. His last time up was a sacrifice fly to left field that scored the game's 2nd run. Called strike on the inner half. Anderson from the windup delivers the 0-1, missing low and away to even up the count.
The Gatemen come into this game 4-1 against Hyannis. So they've had their number up to this point, but the laws of baseball say that that's going to even out eventually. Teams normally don't have skyrocketing success against one team more than they have it over another. A lot of parity involved, especially in the Cape League. So for the Gatemen to have this much success against Hyannis, it's probably not a fluke, but something you'd expect to even a bit more out as the season progresses.
2-1 to Hayes, misses low, ball 3 with Blake Taberry on deck.
And I guess it won't even out completely because this is the last matchup between these 2 teams.
In the regular season.
Correct.
Gatemen coming into the day in 3rd place, a half game behind the 2nd place Bourne Braves, and 3 full games behind the 1st place Harbor Hawks. High fastball gets a swing and a miss. Now the count runs full. Kramer Robertson, standing at 2nd base, was an all-star last year. So 8 all-stars on this team. You count him and the 7 that will be playing on Saturday night. 3-2, hit in the air, right field, back and out of play.
Robertson last year a replacement all-star after an injury to one of the starting infielders, forced Cooper Ferris to make another selection from his team. Ended up being Robertson, and certainly happy for him that he got that honor.
Anderson's 3-2 to Hayes. Got him swinging. Strikeout number 3 on the day for Anderson. Now 2 down in the top half of the 5th.
I think we've seen a little bit of the in-between Sean Anderson tonight. His first start against Bourne was excellent. His latest start against Chatham was far from it. Here, slightly in between those 2 extremes. He got roughed up in the 3rd, but other than that, pretty stellar.
Blake Taberry at the plate, 1 for 2 with an RBI single. He squares to bunt, then pulls it back, takes a ball inside. Yeah, if you exclude the 3rd inning in which the Harbor Hawks scored 4 runs on 4 hits, only 1 hit allowed. And only 2 balls hit out of the infield.
And you could say that for pretty much any pitcher or any situation in baseball. Oh, if you just take this out, or if this would have happened differently, then it's a different story. You can't take back what's already occurred, but right now I guess it's looking a bit as an outlier because other than that, he's really shut this lineup down.
2-0 is rolled right to David McKinnon. He takes it himself. Second put out that he's made in the inning. A 1-2-3 fifth. We head to the bottom half. Still 4-0 Hyannis over Wareham on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Back at Spillane Field, where the Hyannis Harbor Hawks have a 4-0 lead over the Wareham Gatemen as we head to the bottom of the 5th inning. Eric Raymer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. Thomas Burrows is still out there on the mound for the Harbor Hawks. We initially thought that he was only going to go a couple innings because he's not a starter by trade. But the last-minute replacement for Nick Deeg has pitched and pitched well. No runs allowed through 4. He will try and get the win by completing 5. First pitch to Logan Sowers, fouled off right side. Sowers 0 for 1 on the day with a strikeout swinging. That first pitch was pitch number 60 from Burrows, and the 41st strike, a very good ratio. Burrows is 0-1, is tapped weakly up the middle. High hop for the shortstop Hildebrandt, and it rolls into center field. It'll be a single for Sowers, but if not for that bad hop, it's probably a routine play for the shortstop. That'll bring up Jay Jabs, the 9-hitter. He grounded out to second back in the 3rd inning. Jabs trying to reach, or at the very least, advance Sowers into scoring position for the top of the order, and Andrew Kalika, who waits on deck 2 for 2 on the day, with his average, again, above 400. First pitch to Jabs, called strike on the outside corner. There's a right-handed arm warming up in the Harbor Hawks bullpen, should Burrows run into any trouble here. The 0-1 is fouled over our heads and over the screen. Quickly 0-2 to Jabs.
Jabs has hit the ball well against the Harbor Hawks. Hits in all 5 of his starts up to this point. 17 for 21 against this team that's in first place in the West, so these Gatemen may have had trouble putting on base runners at times against many of the opponents in the West, but Jab's certainly not the case.
0-2 misses low. It's now 1-2. So if he's 7 for 21 against these guys, and he's 19 for 104 against everyone, that means he only has 12 hits against teams other than the Harbor Hawks in this league. He takes a called strike 3 on the outside corner. He's out number 1 here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. That'll bring up Andrew Kalika, who, surprise, surprise, has 2 hits today. The 4th straight game in which he has multiple hits. The batting average coming into today at .395 has gone up and will almost certainly go up unless he bats 4 more times today. Lefty Burrows delivers the first pitch, and it's flip foul left side. Sowers at first, 2 stolen bases in 3 attempts. Will probably remain stationary here with the dangerous Kalika at the plate. 0-1, rolled on the ground, deep in the hole, flagged down by Hildebrandt, but it goes into shallow left field. Looked like Hildebrandt got a piece of it with his glove, but nothing he could have done with it anyway. The speedy Kalika is aboard with his 3rd hit of the game.
While Hildebrandt hasn't made an error so far in this game, he's had a few plays in which I'm sure he'd want back. One of them was a throw on to first in the 1st inning that sailed over his first baseman's head. Not an accurate throw, and then he's had other chances to stab balls and make plays, but unfortunately for him and his new home here with the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, hasn't had that much success at shortstop today, even though no errors in the scorebook.
Kramer Robertson looking for his 1st hit of the day. He's popped a bunt in foul territory that was caught by the catcher Jake Rogers, and he's also grounded out to second. First pitch swinging, ropes it into right center field. It's going to drop for a hit. Hayes kept his glove up, and he kept Kalika at second base. The throw to the plate is not in time. Sowers scores from second. He got a good read on that one. And an RBI single from Kramer Robertson brings the score to 4-1.
Sowers is very fortunate that he was able to get under that tag because he really hesitated rounding third and may have even tripped, lost his footing. But unable to get that momentum going again, he charged into home plate just in time of the throw. He's in there probably standing up if he doesn't trip or hesitate or whatever the situation was over on third.
Now Nick Sierri representing the tying run for the Gatemen. He's 1 for 2 on the day with a single and a strikeout. The runner at second, Kalika. The runner at first, Robertson. First pitch from Burrows is hit foul down the third base line.
You got to wonder if Chad Gassman is kind of kicking himself a bit right now for leaving Burrows so long in this game. He was great through 4 innings, but whenever you go 5 or more from a guy who hasn't received that very often, extremely tough to navigate on an arm that's not used to throwing as much.
It makes sense to keep him in at least for this at-bat for the lefty Sierri, but the right-handed hitting David McKinnon is on deck. Here's the 0-1 from Burrows. Again, hit foul left side, quickly 0-2. Sierri with a base hit to the outfield would almost certainly score the runner Kalika from second. Trying to keep the hit parade going. Burrows is 0-2, again hit foul, left side. Most of Sierri's hits have come that way. About 90% of his fouls have gone that way too. Not sure whether it's a bat speed thing or an actual approach that he tries to take at the plate, but he's shown himself to be a opposite field hitter against Cape League pitching. Burrows shakes off his catcher Rogers, accepts the second option. Here's the 0-2 to Sierri. Hit weakly to the glove of the third baseman Colby Bortles. Now he drops it and picks it up. No, out is being called. He initially... Now Sierri, or Kalika, is tagged trying to advance to third, and Cooper Ferris is saying that the out was recorded at second, and the indecision on that was what led Kalika to try and go to third. It was a conscious decision by Bortles to try and drop that and get a double play, but it was a little bit late. The second base umpire signaled out, and now Cooper Ferris is trying to plead the case. Kalika didn't have anywhere to go because there was a late call that was indicated that that was an out.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my mind around exactly what just happened, but you're right. It definitely was a conscious decision by Bortles to drop the ball in the first place. And after some hesitation over at second, I'm pretty sure the umpire signaled out with his hands. I don't think Kalika saw that, though. When he did see the ball on the ground, he started running to third. I think the root of the issue here is the fact that it took the umpire a while to make the signal.
Right, and not that we could have heard it anyway, but I don't know if there was a verbal out call at second base. It's not on Kalika to watch the home plate umpire, and we assume that he saw what we saw, that Bortles caught that ball and then, after about a half second, dropped the ball intentionally.
That's why the infield fly rule exists in the first place. The problem is that's not really a fly. It was more of a softly hit line drive. I'm not sure if there's a gray area in the rule book that would allow you to call an infield fly. But the point was Kalika needed to stay put on second base regardless because, I mean, he was already tagged out at third if the out call had been made.
Right. Some ambiguity in the call, and that's why Cooper Ferris is still out on the field, and the Gatemen are still out on the field. The Harbor Hawks have returned to the dugout, although they anxiously await the final decision. I would be very surprised if this is overturned because there's not a whole lot that can be done after the fact.
I don't even know what to write on my scorebook at this point. Because we're not going to get word on the official ruling. It
right.
could lead to 2 outs in a different way than we saw it, or that we anticipate what the call is going to be. Just really have no idea at this point.
Sierra is out. Or at least that's what I thought. Actually, no. If it's called as it stands, the runner at third, Kalika, is out, and he's out anyway, right? So
correct.
Only one out should be called here.
However, if they're going to say that the third baseman Bortles can't intentionally drop the ball,
right,
then Sierra's out, and then Kalika left second base, which would render him out as well.
And that's what the call currently stands at. It's an out, a put out, and now they are motioning Chad Gassman out, trying to explain this.
Honestly, it was such a bizarre play. Neither of these coaches can be too upset with the final ruling.
Yeah.
The umpires have to deal with this as well, and it's just so bizarre that it doesn't happen at all. Colby Bortles really instigated the entire thing by dropping the ball in the first place.
And the players are going to take the field once more. So the power of suggestion not enough for the Harbor Hawks. I believe this is the correct call because Bortles did intentionally drop that one after he had caught it in his glove. And had everything gone according to plan or according to the strictest interpretation of the rule book, I think time should have been called after that or something to that effect because Kalika is left with no choice at second base.
I actually think that this is kind of like a do-over in a sense. It's the umpires saying, hey, this one's on us, because if you're going to call Sierra out, you have to call Kalika out as well. So this is the umpires saying, hey, it was my mistake on that play. Let's kind of have a do-over. Same exact situation, but with a different batter and with one additional out. You can't, in that instance, call Sierra out and Kalika safe.
They evidently have, and the rationale is that the play ended when Bortles caught the soft line drive.
Because even if you say, oh, we're just going to call it an infield fly, Kalika still left the bag.
But he left the bag under the impression,
See, that's not for the umpires to worry about, though. That's them saying, okay, this was our mistake.
First pitch to McKinnon, rolled to second. The flip on to short, and that'll do it. Much ado about nothing here in the bottom half of the fifth inning. The Gatemen get a run, but they strand two more. We head to the top of the sixth. The score 4-1 Hyannis on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. (4-1) Harbor Hawks over the Gatemen as we head to the top of the sixth inning. Sean Anderson still out there to begin his sixth inning of work. We'll try and work our way through the play that delayed things for a couple minutes in the bottom half of the fifth inning. It is now scored L5, a line out to the third baseman Colby Bortles, and Andrew Kalika remains safe at second base. I think to parcel it down a little bit, it was a compromise by both teams. The second base umpire admitting, in so many words, that he made a late call, ruling that out. As ball one misses low to the first hitter of the inning, Matt Theis. 0 for 2 on the day, but an RBI fielder's choice back in the third inning. 1-0, fouled off, and it's now 1-1. We were trying to figure it out as it happened, which was difficult enough, but we think we've sorted it out, and the umpires think they've sorted it out. No reason for the Harbor Hawks to be mad after the fact because there was no damage done. High fastball gets a swing and a miss from Theis. It's now 1-2.
That play right there is, again, what the infield fly rule is designed to prevent. When defenders have an increased amount of time to camp underneath the ball and think about a few things, most notably, I'm going to drop this ball and try and turn two here, that's what the infield fly rule prevents. But in a line drive situation, it's normally so hard hit, the fielder doesn't have time to have those thoughts go through his mind.
On the fist from Theis in foul territory, John Sternagel makes the play. Out number 1.
But I guess because that line drive was so softly hit, Bortles did have time to gather his thoughts and say, hey, it might be beneficial for me to drop this and then tag third base, throw on to first for 2 outs.
And it was quite obvious, too. The ruling could be made, as it eventually was, that he made the catch and then after the fact dropped the ball. Jacob Knoll at the plate, taking a called strike at the knees. It's not been a good day for Knoll. 2 ground outs, including one that ended the inning back in the third with 2 runners on. The 0-1 is hit in the air, foul and out of play. Umpires trying to make things right, which is something that you do not see all too often, but when it happens, you're thankful that it does. The 0-2 to Knoll misses outside. All of the Harbor Hawks scoring was done in 1 inning. That was the 3rd inning. They batted 8, scored 4 on 4 hits. But other than that, only 1 hit. That was in the 4th. The Gatemen scored their first run of the game just a few moments ago in the bottom half of the 5th inning. One 2 to Knoll is ripped down the left field line, but twisting foul and out of play.
Anderson may not want to come in with that pitch again. Hanging curveball that was just punished down the left field line. So here in a 1-2 count, count that he struggled with up to this point, allowing quite a few hits. We'll see if he goes for some hard stuff instead.
The 1-2 hit weakly behind second base. Robertson has it, and he calls off everyone else. 2 down. 2 pop-up outs, the infielders, here in the 6th inning. That'll bring up Colby Bortles, who's 0 for 2, with a strikeout and a ground out. We've heard Bortles' name a lot because a strikeout of Bortles is in our pregame open that we play before every game. First pitch fouled off right side. Anderson bearing down, trying to get through 6 innings against the Harbor Hawks. 0-1 misses, and Stupinski can't handle it. It's now 1-1. And there is something to be taken out of this ultimately disappointing outing for Anderson. You look at the stat line, and 4 earned runs in what will likely soon be 6 complete innings of work. 1-1 ripped up the middle. It'll be a base hit with 2 down for Colby Bortles. But after that disastrous 3rd inning, he came back with shutout 4th and 5th innings, and he's 1 out away from doing the same in the 6th. So many times, and we've seen it with the Gatemen. You see a pitcher really, really struggle, and then they can never really bounce back. But Anderson proving his value to the team. He knows that the bullpen is shorthanded, and he's going to try and get them through the first 2/3 of this game.
To be fair, though, a lot of the times these pitchers aren't given the opportunity to bounce back after they have a 4-run inning in which they allow some hits and some runners to cross the plate. But this bullpen's in a situation where they needed Anderson to come through and really limit the damage. That's what he's done up to this point.
Ryan Burks had a good day, 2 singles and a run scored. He takes inside ball 1. Anderson's 1-0, missing inside, and it goes to the backstop past Stupinski. Bortles advances to second. Either a pass ball or a wild pitch. The result the same. Bortles now in scoring position. The hit to the outfield, he might score. It's going to be a passed ball on Stupinski. He pats the back of his pitcher Anderson, and now Jim Lawler out to the mound. No motion yet made down to the bullpen. Perhaps some words of encouragement trying to get him through this one last batter. And Lawler pointing down to the bullpen. We'll imagine. And now, yep, there is going to be a call to the pen. Anderson must have said something to indicate that he was nearing the end of his string. So that'll do it for Sean Anderson. He pitched well, but he gave up 4 runs, and he's responsible for the man on second with 2 down in the top of the 6th inning. We'll take a quick break away, but keep it here on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. The new pitcher in the game for the Gatemen is Tyler Thorne out of Stanford. Thorne hasn't been seen in a few games, but he's seen his ERA go down a little bit in every outing since a disastrous one in Chatham.
Yeah, in that disastrous outing, he allowed 6 earned runs, which then blew up his ERA to 9.82. The following time, he went out against Chatham again, lowered it to 8.38, and then his last appearance came against Cotuit. 0.2 innings pitched, allowed a hit, struck out 2 batters. Comes into this game, a 7.84 ERA. This will be his 8th appearance. Be a junior pitcher at Stanford this next season. One of their key bullpen arms in a bullpen this past season that wasn't up to par with what we've come to expect from a Stanford team.
He will face Ryan Burke. Burke, 2 for 2 with 2 singles and a run scored. The runner at second is Colby Bortles. Sean Anderson, the recently departed Sean Anderson, is responsible for Bortles at second, but Bortles advanced to second on a passed ball. So depending on if or how Bortles scores, the run may be earned or unearned. Thorne coming in, and his first 4 pitches will be intentionally outside. They're going to walk Burke to fill first base and face Jake Rogers, the catcher.
First 2 pitches because he comes in with a 2-0 count.
Correct.
After Anderson departs throwing 2 balls.
So Burke fills first base. And now first and second with 2 down for Jake Rogers. Rogers singled and scored in his first at-bat in the 3rd inning, then flew out to left field in the 4th. Thorne trying to keep this a 3-run game for the Gatemen. First pitch misses just outside and maybe a little bit high too. Ball 1.
Thorne has also struggled this season in keeping inherited runners stranded. On a few occasions this year, most notably against that blow-up outing in Chatham, he allowed the 2 inherited runners that he came in with to score.
1-0, rolled on the ground to third. Sternagel opts to go to second. And Robertson's waiting. He receives the throw. And that'll do it for the Harbor Hawks in their half of the 6th inning. The score is still 4-1. Hyannis leading as we head to the bottom of the 6th on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. The Harbor Hawks lead the Gatemen 4-1 as we head to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Thomas Burrows' day is done. He went 5 innings, allowed 1 run on 7 hits, and he's in line for the win, something that I don't think even he expected to be in play coming into today. But he pitched well, and now he'll cede the game to Zach Gearens out of the bullpen.
Gearens, a 6'4", 215 right-hander out of St. Louis University. This will be his 9th start, or rather 9th appearance of the season. The concerning stats are definitely there. Only 7 strikeouts, so fewer than the 11.2 innings he's pitched, and a whip above 2, something you never want to see out of a reliever or a starter. He'll try and come in and keep this lead, the advantage for the Harbor Hawks at 3.
Gearens, spelled Girrens, will face 5, 6, and 7 for the Gatemen. Stupinski, Karaviotis, and Sternagel. Stupinski came into this game 6 for 8 on the season with 3 doubles, but he's 0 for 2 today. 2 groundouts, 1 to short and 1 to second. We will see how he fares against a right-handed pitcher. Starter Burrows was lefty. First pitch misses outside, ball 1. There's a different vibe around this team with a 3-run deficit with Stupinski in the lineup. First pitch is laced to center field, but Bird takes a few steps back and he puts it away. Just a little bit too much hang time on that one. 1 down for Mark Karaviotis.
But even when the ball leaves his bat, the crack that it makes is kind of different from what we've come to expect from this Gateman team. This is a guy with legit extra base power. He's obviously not going to sustain the torrid pace that he's off to right now, but whenever you have a guy with gap-to-gap power, he's incredibly useful, especially in a lineup like the Gatemans.
Mark Karaviotis crowds the plate and takes a fastball just inside. Looked a lot more inside than it was. The 1-0 from Gearens is fouled off a foot. Karaviotis will walk that one off, or at least try to. I think that one might have gotten him a little bit higher than the foot, maybe towards the knee area as he tries to bend the left leg. Home plate umpire Larry Rosenberg out to hand deliver the ball to Gearens and give the Gateman shortstop a little extra time. This is a courteous umpiring crew doing stuff like that, which is pretty standard, but the play in the last inning, the bottom half of the fifth, that was very controversial. Almost a compromise call with neither side getting exactly what they wanted.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but these names, Larry Rosenberg, Bill Fisher, and Rick Forrest, don't sound all too familiar. I'm not sure if we've had them before.
No, they don't, but wouldn't mind having them again, at least so far. Fouled back is the 2-1. Now the count 2-2. Karaviotis trying to reach base and get a rally going for the Gatemen. Breaking pitch misses outside, and the count runs full with Sternagel on deck. Gearens with the payoff pitch to Karaviotis. Hit well down the left field line, but twisting foul out of play. Karaviotis was waiting for that off-speed pitch inside, but a little early on it. Now we'll try and time it up.
In a location like that, though, that may all be that he can do with that baseball unless he wants to hit one weakly.
3-2 again off the foot. Karaviotis smiling at his bad fortune because there's not a whole lot else he can do about it. Again, Rosenberg out to the mound, swapping out baseballs, and Karaviotis back a little bit quicker now, perhaps numb to the pain. He'll try and step back in and get on base so he can run on that foot and leg some more. Karaviotis back in the box, awaiting the 3-2 from Gearens. In on the hands, and that one hit him. On the left hand, it looked like, and so 3 body shots to Karaviotis. He does get on base to show for it, but not exactly the kind of at bat you want to have if you're trying to stay healthy and on the field.
The third baseman, number 11, John Sternagel from Florida.
Karaviotis is aboard for the first time on a non-fielder's choice. That'll bring up John Sternagel 0 for 1 on the day with a walk and a flyout. Gearens to a set. Delivers the first pitch to Sternagel. Hit foul right side and out of play. Gatemen have had chances. They've left 6 runners on base through their first 5 innings, including runners at first and second in their last 2. The 0-1, a called strike on the outer half, now quickly 0-2 to Sternagel. The 0-2 misses outside, now 1-2. Karaviotis probably not too eager to try and steal second here, but we'll keep an eye on him. The 1-2. Hit in the air, right center field. Running after it is Bird, still running, and coming up and catching it for out number 2. Sternagel gave it a ride to the opposite field, but like Stupensky's fly to begin this inning, just a little bit too much air on it, and now 2 down for Logan Sowers.
Yeah, even though Sternagel's 0 for 2 in this game, he's had some great swings. He hasn't even put all of those great swings into play. He's had quite a few foul balls that have been good wood, but got just a bit too far underneath that baseball and paid the price as Bird was able to track it down.
Logan Sowers stepping in, 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored. He swings and misses at the first offering from Gearens.
And the catcher, Rogers, just firing the ball back to his pitcher, Gearens. I don't think he was ready for that. Got lucky, though, and Karaviotis obviously not going anywhere on first.
The 0-1 to Sowers, the check swing, taken low in the dirt. Jabs waits on deck if the Gatemen can extend this inning any further. Gearens keeping an eye on Karaviotis at first. The 1-1 to Sowers. Called strike at the knees. Now 2-1. Excuse me, 1-2. Sowers trying to put the barrel on one here. The 1-2, missing high, now 2-2.
A lot of Sowers' swing and miss tendencies have come low in the zone. That's exactly what Gearens is setting him up for right now after going with the fastball high. May choose to filter off some off-speed stuff in the dirt there in this 2-2 count.
The 2-2 from Gearens. High fastball got him. Logan Sowers strikes out for the second time today, and Karaviotis is stranded at first. We head to the top of the 7th inning. Still 4-1, Hyannis over Wareham. Keep it tuned in to WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Score is 4-1, Hyannis over Wareham as we head to the top of the 7th inning. Andrew Kalika is going to be starting in the All-Star game on Saturday here at Spillane Field. For more on the center fielder, we're joined by Megan O'Brien.
Thanks, Eric. Andrew Kalika, as you mentioned, starting in the All-Star game as center field, and he's really just been a hot spot for the Gatemen. He doesn't seem like he can miss, and I caught up with him before, and I said, Andrew, what's the secret? And he said, well, there's no secret to it, Megan, and he was listening to his headphones, and I said, what kind of music do you listen to pump yourself up before the game? And he said, believe it or not, always classical music. Got to stay calm, got to stay relaxed to keep the hits coming. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Megan. It'll be 9-1-2 due up for the Harbor Hawks. Hildebrandt, Bird, and Hayes. First pitch to Hildebrandt from Tyler Thorne. Misses inside, ball 1.
Classical music doesn't really amp me up.
I like classical music. I don't know if I would listen to it in preparation for a game, perhaps a big exam or something at school.
That's right. My study habits in high school, whenever my family was making too much noise, I would plug in my headphones and Google classical music, and I think I listened to the same exact Beethoven 4-hour symphony throughout my 4 years of high school.
Whatever works.
And I guess whatever works for Kalika. He 3 hits again in this ball game.
2-0, misses up and in. And after a brief hesitation, Hildebrandt goes on to first. Hildebrandt was not here on Saturday when the bench is cleared after a hit by pitch, so although he's no doubt aware of that history, Thorne had had some command issues in the 2 previous pitches, and no reason to believe that one was intentional in any way.
Still, though, I don't think these two teams like each other very much.
No, I don't get that sense. Gatemen have had the Harbor Hawks number for the most part. After a couple hard steps to second, Hildebrandt decides to stay at first. First pitch is a called strike on the outside corner. Thorne, after that little show, will throw over to first and make Hildebrandt dive back to the bag. Thorne to a set. The 0-1 to Bird. Hit in the air, foul left side, out of play. Bird on the day, 1 for 3 with an RBI single and a run scored. That RBI coming in the 3rd inning. It was the first run of the game for the Harbor Hawks. And the next 3 batters also drove in single runs of their own. Thorne's 0-2, missing outside. That's the view from our home plate camera, just in front of the press box, and boy, that image looks clear, doesn't it?
It does, actually.
0-2 sent foul, just missing the plexiglass.
A lot of hard work went in before the game to bring you a clear image.
Yes, we swapped out the plexiglass, and I was the one who had to press the plexiglass against the chain link fence, reaching out of the press box, using some zip ties to secure it. The 1-2, called strike 3 on the outside corner. Bird is out number 1 on a perfect pitch from Tyler Thorne.
I think you may be the only one with arms long enough to reach outside.
Perhaps. I was stretching it.
Completely pressed. I was about ready to climb out of this window and channel my inner Spider-Man, scale the fence a few steps and help you out a bit, but then I thought that was probably unnecessary.
It was, what, about 15 feet down from this press box window?
Yep.
I didn't really enjoy it all that much. I can't imagine you would have enjoyed trying to climb outside the press box. So I'm glad you didn't.
But the end product is a clearer picture. The lights kind of distort it, but
runner goes, pitch low. The throw down to second is not in time. Picked a good pitch to go on. Looked like an off-speed pitch low in the zone. Stupinski, despite a good throw, didn't have a chance. Hildebrandt with a stolen base. He's in scoring position. Austin Hayes on the day is 0 for 2 in 3 plate appearances. In the third, he had an RBI sacrifice fly. Robertson keeping the runner close at second. The 1-0 from Thorne, a called strike on the outer half, 1-1. Thorne came in with 2 down in the 6th inning after an intentional walk, got the last out. Trying to toss another scoreless frame here in the top of the 7th. The 1-1, just missing the outside corner, 2-1. A wide open gap on the right side of the infield. McKinnon playing a standard first base, but Robertson keeping Hildebrandt close at second. Here's the 2-1, chopped on the ground to third. Sternagel in fair territory, handles it, throws across for out number 2. Now the throw back to third is not in time. Sternagel perhaps feigned missing that ball with a head jerk to the backstop, but Hildebrandt didn't bite. He's at third now with 2 down.
Good base running, but risky base running there from Hildebrandt. Sternagel certainly did his job and looked him back to the second base bag, but still with the long throw across the infield deep from the third base hole, he was able to get in safely.
Now Blake Taberry. Taberry 1 for 3 on the day, an RBI single back in the 3rd inning. First pitch from Thorne is tapped weakly on the ground left side. Sternagel has it, throws across his body in time onto first base, and the Harbor Hawks strand a runner at third base. It's time to stretch here at Spillane Field. The Gatemen hoping they can come back and pull out this game. They trail 4-1 to the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. Keep it locked in to WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Gatemen trail the Harbor Hawks by a score of 4-1 as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. 9-1-2 due up for the Gatemen. Jay Jabs, Andrew Kalika, and Kramer Robertson. Zach Gearin's out to begin his 2nd inning of work. The starter for tonight's game, Thomas Burrows, was not expected to go as long as he did, but he pitched 5 effective innings, and if the Harbor Hawks can hang on to this lead, he will get the win. Jay Jabs stepping into the left-handed batter's box, 0 for 2 on the day with a ground out to second and a strikeout looking. The dynamic is much different when Jabs is on base. For a time early on in the season, he led the league in stolen bases, but as his batting average and on-base percentages have dropped, so too have his stolen base marks. 1-0, a half swing. It's a called strike anyway on the outer half, now 1-1.
Taking a look around the rest of the league, Brewster topped YD 8-7 over at Red Wilson Field. The Bourne Braves out in front of the Commodores 4-1. I believe Ryan Bolt in that game is 4 for 5.
Red Wing native.
Yep, your boy.
Minnesota.
The Harwich Mariners right now in the top of the 6th inning are out to a 6-4 lead against Orleans. So the last place team in the East on top of the first place team. And then Will Craig just hit an opposite field grand slam off of Jonathan King to put the Chatham Anglers up 4-0 over Cotuit.
My, oh my, that was in Chatham, correct?
Correcto.
Opposite field. Pretty impressive.
But you all know the boys can do it. Don't rule out the Cotuit Cavaliers.
2-2 to Jabs. Mrs. Lowe, and the count round's full with Andrew Kalika on deck. Kalika 3 for 3 on the day. In case you didn't pick up on it, we're having some fun at the expense of Hey Cotuit, the official theme song of the Cotuit Kettleers, played after every win. 3-2, skied in the air, behind home plate, left side. Rogers back for a look, and he just runs out of room. That ball looked like it was going to hit the top of the fence, but just grazing over it. And the at-bat's still alive for Jabs.
I don't want the Hey Cotuit point to go by the wayside here, so I'll bring it up again. Not only do they play it after every single run, it's after everything remotely productive for the Kettleers, and between every half inning or every other half inning, I think. Gets old after a while, but Hey Cotuit.
3-2 misses very high, and J. Jabs is aboard to begin the bottom half of the 7th inning. See, I didn't even realize it was played that often. I just remember hearing it when I take my headset off after a Cotuit victory, but I'll believe you if it's played that frequently. It's a new song, so perhaps trying to inoculate their fans. We've heard it was at least co-written by head coach Mike Roberts. Kalika squaring to bunt, dropping it down in foul territory, caught by Rogers, and the right call was made by home plate umpire Larry Rosenberg. Bunted in the air, and a tough call because you're not quite at the chalk lines yet. But the right call was made, and the count 0-1.
It doesn't count, but what an incredible play by the shortstop Hildebrandt there. The throw from the catcher was looking like it was going to go into center field. All of a sudden, Hildebrandt reversed direction and just completely full extension laid out. It was an incredible effort to snag it, but since it was in foul territory, will not end up counting.
The 0-1-2 Kalika in on the hands and hit off out of play left side. Kalika, as we mentioned before, came into this game batting .395, and now 3 for 3 with 3 singles, trying to make it number 4 here. It's a tall order. He's behind in the count 0-2 to Zach Gearens. The delivery hit into shallow right field and down for a hit. Hit number 4 on the day for Andrew Kalika, who continues to mash. The last one wasn't hit all that hard, but that one, no doubt a single.
I don't even know what I can say at this point. Kalika just good at bat after good at bat. Doesn't seem to get down on himself if he makes an out or makes an out on the base paths or anything like that. It's a fresh slate inside the batter's box, and he has just been on a torrid pace to start off his Cape League campaign. It's not even to start it off anymore. It's just become a season-long trend where, oh yeah, multi-hit game for Andrew Kalika, what's new?
Second consecutive 4-hit night for a member of the Gatemen lineup. Last night it was Stupensky. That'll be the end of the night for Zach Gearens as Chad Gassman comes out to make a pitching change. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have more on the new Harbor Hawks pitcher. Keep it locked in to WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Back at Spillane Field, where the Wareham Gatemen will bring the tying run to the plate against a new pitcher in the game for the Harbor Hawks, Colin Kober, sidewinding righty out of McNeese State.
Kober, 6'1", 185 on the mound, a 1.93 ERA. This will be his 5th appearance of the season, all of them coming on in relief. A tough matchup for Kramer Robertson, but worth pointing out that 2 of the next 3 hitters after that are left-handers, and so they'll have much more easier time reading the sidewind delivery from Kober.
And this might be a bunt situation for Robertson anyway. We will see. Not too often will you see the potential tying run bunt the ball, but I think that's what Cooper Ferris is telling his second baseman here.
He was unsuccessful in one attempt back in the first inning, popped it out to the catcher Rogers.
Kober comes to a set, checks the runner, jabs at second, and instead of delivering to the plate, he steps off.
Worth pointing out, though, that Kramer Robertson did showcase that he was going to bunt there.
Kober pitching from the stretch, keeping a close eye on jabs at second. The delivery to the plate, he does square to bunt, pulls it back, takes ball one high. We've now seen the Harbor Hawks bunt defense. Looks like Kober's going to be responsible for the left side of the infield, and the first baseman, Matt Theis, charging in. Colby Bortles, the third baseman, staying at third for a potential force play. Kober again checking jabs at second, delivering to the plate. Robertson gets the bunt down. It's a good one. Third base side, Kober throws on to first in time, where the second baseman, Ryan Burke, is waiting. A successful sacrifice for Kramer Robertson, and now two runners in scoring position with one down for Nick Sierri.
Designated hitter number 30, Nick
Sierri on the day, 1 for 3 with a single, strikeout, and a lineout. He was the one who hit the ball to the third baseman, Colby Bortles, that caused some confusion and delay back in the 5th inning. Ball was intentionally dropped by Bortles, but after a brief discussion with the umpiring crew, it was decided that that was too late, and Andrew Kalika was justified in straying from the bag. First pitch dropped foul down the left field line, and it's 0-1. Another foul to the left side by Sierri, who's made that his bread and butter so far this year.
A very similar sequence to what happened in the 4th inning. He fouled one off to the left side and then got around on one, lasering one into center field.
Just like his last at-bat, Sierri represents the tying run. The 0-1 hit in the air to shallow left field. Knoll coming in, setting up for a tag. Here's jabs to the plate. The throw is in time. He got him. Jacob Knoll with a laser shot from left field to gun down Jay Jabs at the plate and end the Gatemen half of the 7th inning.
Okay, fans, we pulled the winning 50-50 route.
We head to the top of the 8th. Still 4-1, Hyannis over Wareham on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Back at Spillane Field, where the Hyannis Harbor Hawks have a 4-1 lead over the Wareham Gatemen. Eric Raymer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. And Jake, even though the Gatemen still trail by 3, they've had plenty of opportunities, including in the last inning.
Yeah, another runner stranded on base. Jabs hosed down at the plate. Got a taste of his own medicine after he has done that time and time again this season to opposing base runners. The ball hit out to left field wasn't hit deep from Sierri, but at this point of the game, if you're Cooper Ferris, you're going to bet your money on the fact that an accurate throw will not be delivered onto home plate. It was just an example of Knoll showcasing a strong arm and delivering a great throw. Not surprising that it was in time and ahead of Jabs, but the fact that it was so accurate is what stands out.
Tyler Thorne beginning his second full inning of work. He came in with 2 down in the 6th inning. Yet to allow a hit. He's walked a batter intentionally and hit one. First pitch to Matt Theis is a called strike on the outside corner. Theis on the day, 0 for 3 with an RBI fielder's choice back in the 3rd inning. A Theis followed by Nolan Bortles in the road half of the 8th inning. Thorne pitching from the stretch with nobody on, delivers the 0-1. Hit in the air, left center field and shallow. Kalika still coming in. Karaviotis out. It's going to fall in no man's land. Sowers picks it up and gets it quickly back into the second baseman, Robertson. Is that a duck snort, or is that too well hit?
No, that's a duck snort for sure. I thought Kalika may have had a chance on that, but he was shaded over to the right field area, so he had an extremely long run. Karaviotis never really stood much of a chance, and out of the question for Sowers to track that ball down.
Jacob Knoll stepping in. Knoll 0 for 3 on the day, 2 ground outs and a pop out. The first pitch is blasted down the left field line, but twisting foul. Had it stayed fair, it would have been a long home run, but a little bit early, and Thorne will try and make sure not to throw that pitch again.
Noel's been scuffling a bit, 0 for 3 today, now 4 for his last 23. That shouldn't take away the power and just overall great hitting ability that he has at the plate. Don't want to give him something too fat.
0-1 to Noel, ripped into left field for a base hit. Sowers over into the gap. He's going to throw on to third. The throw is not in time. Noel advancing to second on the throw. It's a single, and now 2 runners in scoring position with nobody out for the 6-hitter Colby Bortles.
The third baseman, number 30, Colby Bortles from Mississippi.
That ball got out into the gap a little bit quicker than both I and Logan Sowers anticipated. He was up with it quickly, though, as quickly as he could, and got it in. The throw, though, not in time to get Matt Theis at third. Bortles on the day 1 for 3, a single his last time up. Then he stole second. A passed ball that allowed him to advance a second. Called strike on the inner half to bring the count to 0-1.
The difference between a 3-run deficit and a 5-run deficit with 2 innings remaining for the Gatemen is huge. They could potentially be at the mercy of the Harbor Hawks here.
Ripped into center field. Kalika charging, diving, and no catch. No catch. A run will score an RBI single for Colby Bortles, and the score now 5-1. Kalika gave it his best effort and tried to sell it as best he could, but the umpiring crew was having none of it. He trapped it, and now runners at the corners.
How many close plays has this umpiring crew had to make tough decisions on? I think they're a perfect 100 for 100, but man, Kalika coming in there, that's a tough view for the second base umpire, not out in the outfield. I think he made the right call, though. From our vantage point, it looked like Kalika trapped it.
Ryan Burke stepping in, 2 for 2 on the day with an intentional walk his last time up. He takes a called strike. Infield was playing in on the Bortles at bat. Now the corner's in, and the middle infielder's playing at double play depth. The runner at third is Jacob Noel. The runner at first, Colby Bortles. Tyler Thorne trying to settle things down. He gets a swing and a miss on a pitch that was well outside and low. Count 0-2. Must have been a changeup there because Thorne's breaking pitches bend towards the plate. Wouldn't make sense for Burke to chase something that was already even more away from him than it ended up being. Thorne's 0-2. Got him swinging. Fastball on the outside corner. And a big strikeout for Tyler Thorne, now 1 down for the 8-hitter Jake Rogers.
Jake Rogers from Tulane.
Rogers 1 for 3 on the day. Single and a run scored back in the 3rd inning. Infield still playing at the same alignment, although now Sternagel is dropping back a little bit. Looks like he'll go for the double play as well if he gets a ground ball hit his way. First pitch is hit into left center field and deep. Kalika back, still back, now rounding it, camping under it and making the catch. The throw is into second. It'll be an RBI sacrifice fly for Jake Rogers, and the score now 6-1 Hyannis. Rogers got the job done. It wasn't a base hit, but it was the next best thing. A run producing out, now 2 down with Bortles still at first.
So both those leadoff singles to start this 8th inning come around to score. That may be the jugular. The Gatemen now have to make up 5 runs with only 2 more trips to the plate.
Thorne peering in at his catcher. Tristan Hildebrandt stepping in and taking a called strike on the outer half at the knees. Hildebrandt has been hit by 2 pitches, and he's also flown out to center in 3 trips to the plate. He also has a stolen base and a run scored. Here's Thorne's 0-1, bounce in the dirt, kept in front of Stupensky, even though he had some trouble coming up with it. Bortles, who is not known for his speed, will stay at first. Hildebrandt trying to give the Harbor Hawks one more insurance run. Breaking pitch on the inside corner, a late strike call. Hildebrandt ducked away from it, as someone who was hit already twice in this game would be expected to do. But now he's behind in the count 1-2, and Thorne trying to finish him off. The 1-2 from Tyler Thorne. Breaking pitch misses outside, 2-2. Tyler Thorne has allowed 2 runs this inning, trying to get out of the jam. Got him swinging. The throw down to second is going to be inconsequential as the inning is over. Hildebrandt retired, and that'll do it for the Harbor Hawks in their half of the 8th inning. But 2 more runs come in, and as we head to the bottom half, it's 6-1 Harbor Hawks over the Gatemen on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. The Hyannis Harbor Hawks now with a 5-run lead over the Wareham Gatemen. It's 6-1 as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. We're now seeing a face on the pitcher's mound for the Harbor Hawks that we did not expect to see tonight, Nick Deeg. He was initially slated to start this game, but then he was scratched, presumably because of an injury or something, but he's apparently well enough to try and finish off this game for Hyannis.
If you're in the business of trying to be 100% sure you're going to protect a 5-run lead, I think Nick Deeg's a pretty safe bet to bring into the game. Coming into this game, a 2.83 ERA on the season. Actually, a 2.35 ERA on the season. This will be his second appearance out of the bullpen. He's made 7 starts before that. A lot of strikeout numbers, 36 and 38 innings of work. Has a whip below 1, so doesn't allow very many base runners either. He's among the tops in terms of quality arms in the Cape. And a left-hander who can go low to mid-90s is certainly a guy who's going to shoot up some draft boards.
The numbers would look even more impressive if you could take out 2 of his appearances. July 8th at Falmouth, he lasted just 2/3 of an inning and allowed 5 earned runs. And then his last start in Harwich, he allowed 4 earned runs in 4 innings.
Yeah, he was in Mitchell Jordan territory. Through 28 innings, only allowed 1 earned run on the season. Here facing a pinch hitter for McKinnon.
Those 4 2/3 innings account for 9 of his 10 earned runs. Andrew Kisner pinch hitting for David McKinnon, who had gone 1 for 3 on the day. We know McKinnon's nursing an injury, so Kisner not wholly unexpected. He can also play first base, so it will likely be a straight swap. The count now 2-0 to Kisner. Deegs 2-0. A belt-high strike on the outer half, now 2-1. Kisner had high hopes coming into this season, but a weeks-long slump has dropped the batting average down in a territory that he does not want it to be in. 213 coming into this at-bat as he takes a called strike on the inner half. It's now 2-2. Teague's delivery, high fastball, got him. Kisner retired, and the pinch-hitting appearance is unsuccessful. That'll bring up Gavin Stupinski, who after having a very hot 2 first games has gone cold here tonight. 6 for 8 in his first 2 starts, now 0 for 3.
He's hit the ball hard on 2 of those 3 occasions, though. The first one being excluded when he kind of hit a little fish shot to the shortstop Hildebrandt. Still has had some good at-bats tonight.
First pitch swinging, sent into shallow left center field. In his bird, diving, and he's going to come up short, and it's going to trickle into left center field. Stupinski aggressive base running into second, and he's in with a double. Double number 4 in 3 games for Gavin Stupinski. That's got to put him in, what, the top 5 of all his teammates in doubles on the year?
He was in the top 5 coming into this game. Now that makes him tied for second, only 1 off the leading pace set by the guy who just struck out in Andrew Kisner.
That's both an indictment of the rest of the offense and an endorsement of the bat of Stupinski. Now Mark Karaviotis at the plate. 0 for 2 on the day. Reached on a fielder's choice, then was hit by a pitch his last time up. He takes a called strike.
As the Gatemen go into the playoffs and try to make a run for a championship, they're going to be looking to exploit as many advantages as they have. They may not have a lot across the board, Kalika, of course, being one in center field. Their starting pitching is an advantage. Other than that, though, pretty average across the board, some notable exceptions, but I think Stupensky gives them a clear advantage behind home plate. You see so many of these other teams employ defensive magicians and guys who are pretty clueless with the bat. Stupensky is obviously not in that conversation. He's swung the bat incredibly well for this team.
The 1-1 to Karaviotis fouled off right side, now 1-2. Karaviotis had 2 strikes in his last at bat, but then eventually got on base with a hit by pitch. Here's Deegs 1-2, just got a piece, sent it straight back to the screen. Gatemen are going to have to get a lot of base runners and quickly. Trailing by 5 with 1 down in the bottom of the 8th inning. Deeg winds and delivers the 1-2. In on the hands and again fouled straight back. There's no use in speculating what led Deeg to leave his spot as the starter tonight and then re-emerge as a reliever, but interesting to see him in this 5-run game. Hit on the screws, but right to the glove of the third baseman Colby Bortles, and Karaviotis is retired for out number 2. Score that L5. As we've established, we're both people who like to give as much detail as possible in our scorebooks. I do the L's, you do the L's, and you do the P's, but I do not for infield pop-ups.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a given whenever you have a flyout, as you mark it, F2, for example, to the catcher, that of course it's a pop-out, but I don't know, I just like to make them stand out a bit more.
Not judging, just highlighting our differences. Our differences are what make us unique.
I think the most in-depth scorekeepers, probably ones that normally aren't broadcasters, but they chart where each ball landed in their scorebook. That gets difficult, especially when you have infield hits, and then say those runners come around to score, you shade them in. Things really start to get complicated when that happens, and I don't even mess with that kind of stuff.
Ball and a strike now to John Sternagel, 0 for 2 on the day with a walk and 2 outfield flyouts. Deegs 1-1, just misses the outside corner. It's 2-1. Gatemen trying to get at least 1 run back here in the bottom of the 8th inning, then hoping for a 9th inning rally. Here's the 2-1 to Sternagel. High fastball gets a swing and a miss. Now 2-2. Harbor Hawks got the first 4 runs of this game with a 4 spot in the 3rd inning. Gatemen countered with 1 of their own in the bottom half of the 5th. But 2 in the top of the 8th have put this one effectively out of reach unless the Gatemen can get some base runners. Teague peers in for the sign. He gets it from Rogers and delivers the 2-2 to Sternagel. Hit sharply but foul down the first base line and into the corner. Must have broken Sternagel's bat as he's retreating to the dugout to get some new lumber. Nice shiny new bat. A little bit of pine tar on it if I can see it correctly. Most players will bring 1 extra bat to the game with them, or at least that's what guys like Charlie Warren and Dave McKinnon do. Who knows? Maybe John Sternagel keeps a half dozen just in case. Deeg back with the 2-2 to Sternagel. Breaking pitch outside corner, got him. Nick Deeg shows off why the scouts like him so much. He works around a 1-out double to pitch a scoreless frame in the bottom half of the 8th inning. We head to the top of the 9th. Wareham Gatemen trying to put up a 0. They trail 6-1 on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. The Harbor Hawks lead the Gatemen 6-1 as we head to the top of the 9th inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. If you're trying to take away positives from this game and you're in the Gatemen dugout, You can take solace in the fact that Sean Anderson, despite one rough inning, gave your team 5 2/3 innings, and in relief, Tyler Thorne, despite allowing 2 runs of his own, looks to finish off this game without taxing the bullpen anymore.
Yeah, coming into this game, the Gatemen had really spoiled their gems out of the bullpen in Hamilton, Hill, Stephen Woods, who started a game. Don't forget Grant Dyer as well. Zach Houston no longer with this team, so suddenly resources trying to get a little bit thin for the Gatemen as we progress into this season. But yeah, only 2 pitchers used so far. That's a good sign for this team. The grind is not over either. The All-Star game will provide a one-day break, but after that, only one more off day the rest of the year.
And for 7 Gatemen players, not much of an off day in the All-Star game. Those 7 players being named to the Western Division team, and that's the most of any team in the Cape.
Whether or not that has something to do with the All-Star site being Spillane Field, I'm not sure, but I can tell you a lot of these Gatemen players, even though they're 5 games, or about to be 5 games below 500, have impressive stats.
Corey Bird, the leadoff hitter, bunts the first pitch foul. It's 0-1. Bird on the day 1 for 4 with an RBI single and a run scored back in the 3rd inning. Tyler Thorne beginning his 3rd full inning of work. He got the last out of the 6th inning, then pitched a scoreless 7th before giving up 2 runs in the 8th. Here's the 0-1. Flip foul over the screen and out of play, 0-2. Should the Gatemen drop this game, they would fall to 15-20-1. They would lose a game to the first place Hyannis Harbor Hawks, who would bring their record to 19-16-1. The 0-2 slapped at and sent foul left side out of play. Looks like the bullpen fire in the Gatemen bullpen down the right field line has been all but extinguished. Giant plume of smoke easing out over the right field fence. The 0-2 tapped weakly up the first base line and foul. That's something that I hope to experience firsthand in the next couple days. We have 4 more home games after this, but only 3 more that we will be broadcasting. Fox College Sports is coming in, and they're doing a game for their game of the week as the 0-2 misses outside ball 1. We're going to be here, though, as we should, if we're going to be covering the team on a daily basis. Don't want to miss anything. And so I thought I might join the team down in the bullpen and figure out what exactly goes on behind that translucent green screen down the right field line. Here's the 1-2 to Bird, just missing the outside corner. Even Stupensky behind the plate hesitated as he threw back to first.
I don't know what I'll be doing that game. Haven't yet figured that out. Maybe writing a 1,000-word recap like I'm used to, but haven't done this season.
Tapped weakly to second. Robertson has to glove flip it. He tries to, but he comes up empty. It'll be an infield single for Corey Bird. So Bird is rewarded for hanging tough in that at-bat with an infield single. He's aboard with no outs here in the top of the 9th inning. Austin Hayes stepping in, 0 for 3 on the day with an RBI sacrifice fly back in the 3rd. The runner at first is Corey Bird. He just got on with an infield single. Thorne from the stretch delivers the first pitch. Chopped on the ground, foul up the 3rd base line. Gatemen play next on the road in Brewster tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. Broadcast partner Jake Garcia will be taking the lead on that one. First time seeing the Whitecaps in a while.
Saw them on opening day at Brewster. This is our first time back since that affair.
Called strike on a check swing, inner half. And now the count 0-2 to Austin Hayes.
We talked about this on day 1 when we went there, but the Brewster ballpark located in a spot in which you would normally not expect a baseball field to be. Felt like I was going up into the mountains about to go snowboarding, not about to go cover a baseball game in the middle of the summer.
Save for perhaps Hyannis and Chatham, the most Cape Cod-esque drive out to the field. Going through little cottage towns and stuff like that. The 1-2, tapped on the ground and past a diving stern angle into the left field corner. Sowers is up with it quickly, and now he has trouble with it. He's going to get it back into the cutoff man. The throw is not going to come home to the plate. It's an RBI double for Austin Hayes, and now the Harbor Hawks lead 7-1.
Hayes continues to punish the Gatemen. Now 2 RBIs in this game. That's his first hit. But he came in with 4 stolen bases and 7 hits in 4 games against this team. So he loves playing the guys down on the outer region of the Cape. And Hayes has had a great season, an even better one against the Gatemen.
Now Blake Taberry, RBI single back in the 3rd inning. He's 1 for 4 in total. First pitch from Thorne is laced into center field, but right at Andrew Kalika. He barely has to move, and he throws it back into the infield. 1 pitch, 1 out off the bat of Taberry, and Hayes stays at second. That'll bring up Matt Theis. Theis is 1 for 4 with an RBI fielder's choice in the 3rd inning and a single and a run scored back in the 8th. Thorne's first pitch is sent foul left side out of play. Thorne's 0-1, misses outside to even up the count at 1-1. Gatemen, for a brief time, were in this game. In fact, Nick Sierra came up twice in this game with the tying run representing. 1-1, a swing and a miss, a high fastball, and Theis is behind in the count 1-2. Tyler Thorne peers in to Stupinski for the sign. Here's the 1-2. Hit into left center field. Kalika is going to have to play it on a hop. Hayes rounding third on his way home. There's not going to be a throw. An RBI single by Matt Theis, and now an 8-1 Harbor Hawks lead. Things getting out of hand here in the late innings. Now the 4th run surrendered by Tyler Thorne.
Yeah, Thorne's starting to get hit around a bit, probably exceeding the number of pitches he's typically used to throwing. A short reliever at Stanford, and that's what he's been used so far this season. But now into his 3rd complete inning, starting to show a little bit of wear and tear.
David Martinelli is going to pinch hit for Jacob Knoll, who had gone 1 for 4, a single and a run scored his last time up. That was in the 8th inning. A reminder that Andrew Kisner is in the game at first base. First pitch inside, and it got a hand or a bat. Looks like Martinelli's returning to the left-handed batter's box, so it's a foul ball, and the count 0-1.
It got the hand of the home plate umpire.
That's what it was.
He asked for time after the play. I thought he was saying time to give himself some time, which would have been definitely acceptable. He's done a great job tonight.
Cooper Ferris beckoning the training staff out just to make sure that things are all right. And also probably going to bring up the fact that the scoreboard now reads 1-0. I think he believes that the pinch hitter Martinelli went around on that.
If it weren't 0-1 and were indeed 1-0, there'd probably be no reason to call time on that play, because that essentially keeps the runner put on first base if you do call time, when Theis could have easily taken second when the ball got away from Stupinski.
Conference is broken up, and we'll wait for an official designation from the home plate umpire as to the count. The count, please. 1 ball and no strikes, says the home plate umpire.
Puzzling. It's 8-1, though.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's too bent out of shape about it. 1-0 to Martinelli is hit foul down the first base line. Had it been fair, I think Kisner would have had it, playing a pretty tight first base. Thorne is 2 outs away from ending his participation in the game. Despite his struggles, he's done a great service to his team by eating up innings here late in the game. The 1-1 misses outside. It's now 2-1. Thorne back, and this one is hit high in the air, shallow right field. Jabs coming in, and he makes the catch in fair territory. A majestic fly ball, but it sounded like it cracked the bat of Martinelli, and he's retired 2 down.
Took such a big swing on it, but as soon as he made contact, I thought could be in someone's driveway. But instead, it was just off the end of the bat, and Knowles retired, or rather Martinelli.
That'll bring up Colby Bortles. Singles his last 2 times up and run batted in the 8th inning. He's 2 for 4. First pitch, breaking ball, is a called strike that splits the plate in half. The runner at first, Matt Theis, 2 runs in for the Harbor Hawks here in the 9th inning. The 0-1, another off-speed pitch that Bortles backs away from. This one's a ball, and the count even at 1-1. One to Bortles, swung on and missed, low in the zone. Thorne rearing back and firing a fastball by the big righty, and now the count 1-2. Thorne's 1-2 to Bortles, roped into left field, a base hit. Theis will check in at second, hit number 4 in this inning, and that'll bring up Ryan Burke. If this were not such a blowout game, and if it were not the 9th inning, you might have someone else warming up in the bullpen, but I think Thorne is going to have to finish this one off himself.
After an 0-for-2 start to his day, Colby Bortles now 3 hits in his final 3 at-bats, collected an RBI as well in the 8th inning. So he came into this game 0-for-9 against Wareham and now has exploded for 3 hits.
Thorne's first pitch to Burke is flip foul over the screen, 0-1. Thorne takes a sign, comes to a set, and delivers the 0-1 to Burke. Hit in the air, infield left side. Karaviotis calling off everyone else, staring into the night sky. He squeezes it. 3 down, go the Harbor Hawks, but they scored 2 runs in the top half of the 9th inning. As we head to the last of the 9th, it's an 8-1 Hyannis lead on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. The score is 8-1. Hyannis Harbor Hawks leading the Wareham Gatemen as we head to the bottom of the 9th inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. It'll be 8-9-1 due up for the Gatemen against Nick Deeg. Sowers, Jabs, and Kalika. Kalika will get a chance for a 5-hit day. Gavin Stepensky had a 5th at bat after going 4 for 4 his first 4 plate appearances last night, but then grounded out in his other opportunity. There very well may be some substitutions, and yes, indeed there are. It looks like Max Siebert will lead off this inning, hitting for Logan Sowers. Jabs still in the on-deck circle, so it will be Jabs at least for the time being.
If the Gatemen rattle off 7 runs this inning, I don't think it'll be a straight switch. I don't think Siebert will occupy left field.
I'd love to see it.
That's just a hunch I have, though.
Siebert began the season as a temp player and was taken off the roster but stuck around as a bullpen catcher. Jarrett Reinflesch went down Siebert rejoined the roster and played sparingly until Stupinski was added to the roster. First pitch is fouled off towards the Gatemen dugout, 0-1. Deegs 0-1, misses up and away, now 1-1 to Siebert. Sowers had gone 1 for 3 with a single run scored and 2 strikeouts. 1-1 to Siebert, misses outside, 2-1. Here's the 2-1 to Siebert, in on the hands and fisted foul right side out of play, 2-2. Deegs 2-2, missing the inside corner, a close pitch, taken for a ball, and the count runs full now to Siebert. Deeg with the 3-2, just missing the outside corner, and Siebert coaxes a 3-2 walk. He's aboard to begin the 9th inning for the Gatemen.
The catcher Rogers started his throw over to third, anticipating a strike 3 call, and the pitcher Nick Deeg lifted up his arms in frustration. He thought he had strike 3 too.
That'll bring up Jay Jabs, who's 0 for 2, but he walked his last time up, got as far as third, then was thrown out trying to score. Nice throw by the left fielder Jacob Knoll. Knoll now out of the game, as is Max Siebert. Looks like Connor Beck's going to be a pinch runner for him. So Siebert out and Connor Beck in the game. But we are to believe that David Martinelli is now in left field, a straight switch, as nothing else has been announced. Called strike to Jay Jabs, it's 0-1. Deegs 0-1 to Beck, bends over, it's quickly 0-2. Beck not being held on at first. The 0-2 misses outside, now 1-2. Another one misses outside, now 2-2. Obviously not in danger of making this a close game anytime soon, but Deeg not being as aggressive as I'm sure he'd like to be. Having some trouble finding the zone. 2-2 to Jabs. Breaking pitch on the inside corner. Strike 3 looking. Second backwards K for Jay Jabs in 4 plate appearances tonight. Now 1 down for the top of the order in Andrew Kalika. Kalika 4 for 4 on the day with 4 singles. Trying to make it a 5 for 5 night. Beck at first. First pitch to Kalika, an off-speed pitch on the outside corner, strike 1. Deeg's second offering misses outside.
This is one of the lone situations where I wouldn't be surprised to see Kalika abandon his approach.
Chopped on the ground and into shallow left field. A 5-hit night for Andrew Kalika. He came into the game batting .395, and that's going to go up tonight.
Well, as soon as I was about to say he could abandon his approach that's made him so successful, single after single, maybe look for him to take a bigger swing or two, trying to get an extra base hit or even put one over the fence. What does he do? The same exact thing we've seen him do all season long, a single through the 6-hole. 5 for 5.
A single,
goodness gracious.
A single in every odd-numbered inning. A single in the first, in the third, in the fifth, in the seventh, and now in the ninth. First and second with 1 down for Kramer Robertson. Deeg's first pitch is sent into shallow center field, charging his bird, and he has it measured. Puts it away for out number 2. No chance for either runner to advance. Things will be left to Nick Sierri, who's come up with 2 pretty big plate appearances in this game. He's 1 for 4, but in the 5th he lined out to third in a controversial play. And in the 7th, he flew out to left on what turned out to be an inning-ending double play. Jay Jabs thrown out trying to score from third. In both of those situations, he represented the tying run. Now, with a 7-run deficit, the best he can do is extend this game. In on the hands and flip foul left side, 0-1. The runner at second, Beck. The runner at first, Kalika. Nick Sierri trying to keep the game alive for the Gatemen. Deegs 0-1. Breaking pitch misses high, 1-1. Should the game continue, Andrew Kisner's on deck. The 1-1 from Deeg. Missing the outside corner, 2-1. Sierri laid down a fastball up and away, and now the Gatemen down to their last strike.
That's what makes Deeg so tough against left-handed hitters. He does a great job disguising the ball, not letting them see his release points, and then the fastball gets on him quickly.
Deegs 2-2, misses outside, and the count runs full. Runners will be off with a pitch, not that it really matters, but runs could score more easily. Payoff pitch from Deeg, chopped foul, first baseline. Runners go, the 3-2 from Deeg, fouled off the mask of the catcher Rogers. He'll take it off and think about that one for a while. Hope he's all right. Home plate umpire out to the mound and looking back, seeing that Rogers is already pawing at the dirt with his feet. We'll get things going again. This game looks to be clocking in at under 3 hours. Games have gotten progressively longer as the season's gone on, but after a first pitch time of 7:03, this one would be about 2 hours, 40 minutes. Payoff pitch inside, and it hit Sierri. That loads the bases with 2 down. That'll bring up Andrew Kisner. Still a long ways to go, but the Gatemen have signs of life here in the bottom of the 9th inning.
This is how it all starts, getting base runners. But unfortunately for the Gatemen, it's come with 2 outs. So really not much room for air right now.
These extra at-bats at the end of the game do mean something, should the Gatemen play the Harbor Hawks in the playoffs. First pitch is chopped on the ground to short. Sent on to second, Burke has it. And that'll do it. The Harbor Hawks beat the Gatemen by a final score of 8-1. Combination of Thomas Burrows, Zach Gearens, Colin Kober, and Nick Deeg combined to surrender only 1 run to the Wareham Gatemen and end a 2-game winning streak.
Kind of disappointing for the Gatemen. They came in riding a 2-game winning streak. They had snapped their road losing streak. We're all the way up to 3rd in the division, and then a bit of a letdown tonight at the hands of the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. It was bound to happen eventually, though, against this team. The Gatemen had major ownage on them up to this point. But just an all-around solid performance from the Harbor Hawks, consistently pestering the scoreboard with runs. Really the 4 runs in the 3rd inning got to Sean Anderson. Fortunately for the Gatemen, though, they were not inclined to burn through an already depleted bullpen, only used 2 pitchers in this game. But for them, though, look to rebound tomorrow against the Brewster Whitecaps on the road for the first time since opening day.
The Hyannis Harbor Hawks move to 19-16-1 and maintain their foothold in first place in the Western Division. They scored 8 runs on 13 hits, did not commit an error. The Wareham Gatemen in defeat fall to 15-20-1. They scored 1 run on 10 hits, and they too did not commit any errors. A clean game, but a losing effort for the Gatemen. They are back at it tomorrow at 5 o'clock in Brewster. It'll be an audio-only broadcast from us, but it should be a good one. First time that the Brewster Whitecaps have invited the Wareham Gatemen out to Stony Brook Field since the first game of the regular season. We will sign off here from Spillane. The final score, 8-1, Harbor Hawks over the Wareham Gatemen. For Jake Garcia, Megan O'Brien, our broadcast coordinator, Warren Randolph, all the folks at WCTV, I'm Eric Bramer signing off. We'll see you tomorrow.